Time's up, Admiral.
Here it comes.
Hereafter, so that we remember our bonds, we shall always come together in a circle to hear and tell of deeds good and brave. I will build a round table where this fellowship shall meet, and a hall about the table, and a castle about the hall.
Give me the meat, and give it to me raw.
What's the matter? Take yourself a great big bite of meat. Taste the pleasure of the highest quality pork around.
There's a tempest in me.
I got bored one day.
You need to do that end where she's screaming and you just be Ray!
Yeah, I got bored. It was an attempt. I did it. I did it. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the round table. It's going to be a weird one today with what we're going to cover. Yeah, what? I haven't shown you that Mustang. That was me bored. Welcome again, round table. We're gonna try and get through this today. It's a bit of a split show because I want to do two different topics. Anyway, how's everybody doing? Hail and howdy, everybody. You can see it. Lineup's a little different today. Lineup's a little different today because again of the split topic. We have our regulars. Hail to Dragon Lady. How are you today?
I'm doing all right. I finally watched the third Jurassic World film last night on Blu-ray. I really enjoyed it.
You did? Okay.
But I am a dinosaur nut, so that is my excuse. And I'm not exaggerating or anything like that. If you put me in a museum of natural history and I go wandering into the shop, it's Christmas morning for me.
Well, again, I'm glad you enjoyed it. I avoided those movies since the first one. And I was like, yep, I'm out. Well, I like Chris Pratt, but I'm out. Okay. Grump, bah humbug.
Yeah, big bah humbugs. Lots of them. Whole bucket of them.
Well, we're happy you're back here, and we love having you here. You are our you keep us level. What is that? What am I hearing there? Somebody's microphone. Anyway, you keep us honest, Grump, and that's what we need you. That's what we love you. Anyway, we're back here. Dre.
Yo, what's happening, everybody?
How you doing?
I'm good. I've had a solid week.
Yeah, you had a good couple days, man. You had some fun.
Yes.
Like Adam. We're gonna talk about that.
Yes, had a great deal of fun. This has been a good week for me.
That's good. Excellent. And Jed is here, but he's not here. Jed's in the chat. You guys see him in the chat. Jed has Doctor Who stuff to take care of, so that's why he has been given a pass for jumping on today. He may get a chance to be on Fury of the Whovians, which is, hey, that's a bigger platform. You go have some fun on that if you get that, buddy. And of course, the bitch is burning in like what, an hour? So I'm not going to deny him a chance to do something live with that either way. That's stuff, and we're not necessarily going to talk about that. It's going to come up. We're not going to talk about it. If Jed has time when it comes up, of course, he has the link. He can come in here if he has a moment, but even that. And we've got his temporary replacements who are here early for the other half of our discussion. Dermaranth, who is going to, well, I mean, that dude has a nice pair of tits.
Well, thank you.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah, he's using his voice modulator. It's creepy. Yeah. Well, anyway, so we thank Derm for being here and help us out. One of my co-hosts on Anime Odyssey stepping in. He will be joining us for the second half of the show. And of course, Lady B has decided to also join us for the first half as well. Lady B, how are you?
I'm doing okay. I got a bit of a cold, but we're cool.
Just medicate, sleep, hydrate, sleep it off. That's
Lots
my
of water.
solution. That's how I deal with it. Medicate the symptoms and sleep it off. And then a few days later, it's manageable. Mm-hmm. Anyway, as I've been alluding to a fact, we have a double show today. First half, we're going to do normal stuff. We're going to talk about what happened the week. Kind of linking a couple themes I've been going over this week about how everything kind of sucks and what are we excited about and what does it mean when things are sort of looking good and will they follow through. At the same time, we're going to lead into the promised discussion, the debate between what has been done more damage, not necessarily to their brand, but kind of overall. Rings of Power as an adaptation of The Lord of the Rings, or Wheel of Time, also known as Wheel of Prime, Wheel of Woke. Insert your descriptive adjective. We got people coming in. We've already got some people hanging out in the back who are going to jump in later for that. We're going to have a panel shift when it happens. Our regular roundtable members are free to leave because, let's be honest, the three here today, they didn't watch this shit. They didn't watch this shit. I did. They are not required to stay. They can go hang out in the chat and go have some fun watching us melt down. While people coming in did watch it and did suffer and are ready to vent one last time over Rings of Power. And maybe we're going to learn to find some new coping mechanisms coming up with Wheel of Time Season 2 because it is on its way. I know. Anyway, so hello to the panel.
You three missed just the greatest show ever.
Yeah.
Downright.
Before we get started, as always, let's say hail and howdy to the chat. I see both Lagadas and Tranquil Waters, a.k.a. Mustang Ride. My mods, my regulars here to keep the peace in case the snoo bots show up and anybody else shows up big trouble. They are the fastest guns in my plateau, I guess. I got nothing there. I see Algrim the Strong. Good afternoon to you, good sir. Anime Man 73, one of my other co-hosts on Anime Odyssey. And yes, we have chosen our anime for next month. I will announce that later before we do the swap over. Scrolling on down, who else we got here? Son of Joxer is here. He's also waiting in the back. He will be joining us for the second half of the show. Corey Castle, hail to you. Scrolling on down, catching everybody I can see. And there's Jed. Todd McDanger, hello. I see as well. Want to see everybody I can spot. Sven Dragon, hello to you, Sven Dragon. How are you today? And getting down to the bottom, Ruben X or Ruben 10. Not sure if it's 10 or X, but I'll say X. And that's an extraordinary. Hail to you. Reply to one of your comments recently. Thank you for your support. And there, hail the chat. We love you. You are the reason we can have so much fun because you're supporting us and you are our backbone because we're just like you. We're fans who want good shit. All right, let's get started. We have no more time to waste. All right, so I'm going to pose this to you, panel, right now. Here's where we're going to get started on this. We've just come through almost 3 months of absolute shit of television and movies to some extent. The movie's a lot longer. Before I get asked some specific questions to you about this, how do you guys feel at this point? I mean, I'll tell you how I feel and we'll go. I'll start myself. I'm tired. I'm definitely tired. I'm not hopeless, but I am tired and worn out because certain parts of these fights are a little exhausting just because having to reply to the same pathetic argument over and over again, it gets boring. It's one thing when you're having a robust debate with different points of views and you get excited because you're trying to beat your opponent into the ground with your thoughts and your opinions, knowing that maybe at the end you're still going to go out and have a beer or just sit down and have a nice chat on a new topic without any animosity. I mean, perfect example. Last night on my stream, and Mustang, you're going to get a earful from everybody I know on this one. Mustang had the nerve once again to say while we were playing some Medieval Dynasty that Die Hard 1 is not a Christmas movie.
Mustang, you're wrong.
It's a Christmas movie.
He tried to make arguments. I believe I shot him down every time. He'll, of course, say he won the argument, but we had a good 20 minutes of bitching at each other, and then we moved on. Oh, no. Uh-oh, our Mustang's found an ally in fixing Holy Woke. He's found an ally.
Fake news.
Yeah. It's that's going to be big because I'm sure with the next Saturday when we begin Saturday Night Drive-In, one of the rules for December is, as one of my co-hosts, Lady B and Jed, everybody must choose a Christmas movie. And I know what Jed's one is going to be. He's going to choose Lethal Weapon 1. I already can predict that. Lady B, either you or I will choose Die Hard if whoever's up next. I know it. I know it. It's
Probably.
there. Probably.
Didn't Jed probably use It's a Wonderful Life?
No.
That movie's so depressing.
I hate that movie. I said that last night too when I was talking to Mustang. I hate the movie. No, but Lethal Weapon 1, Die Hard is going to come up. So we're going to have that debate. And Mustang is, of course, free to come on for that debate and be outnumbered. He can handle it. He's a man. He's a man. He can take it in. But you see what I'm saying? We can have our debates. We can have our discussions where we're going to yell at each other about stuff. And then it's going to end and we're going to move on. But when you're dealing with the woke, when you're dealing with the stands, when you're dealing with SJWs, they just keep saying the same download at you over and over again because it can be applied to every woke piece of shit that comes out. And it gets exhausting. And it doesn't be fun. And then it gets to a fun, oh no. Yeah, you know what? You're fired. You're fired. We're not even there yet. You're fired already. No, I'm kidding.
I called it.
No. We'll see. I think he'll want to have fun and so watch me bitch for an hour. I hate that movie. Anyway. But you understand what I'm saying. We are in this point now where we just got through this slog. Rings of Power, She-Hulk, other things. For me, Andor's top of that. All this stuff. Movies out there. Stuff like Woman King and all that shit. We're tired.
There's a sequel to Woman King coming out in November.
Yeah. Wakanda for nobody.
I don't know. I have so many feelings about that movie. It's so weird.
I may or may not go see it.
I'm out.
I'm out. Like Prince Namor doesn't have his drag queen eyebrows, so
it's not even Namor. I'm not even a Namor fan, and I know that's not Namor. But anyway, so I'm just tired.
Yeah, they gotta do something impressive to get me to drive over an hour and a half to my nearest theater. So I'm out.
But that's it. So let's go around. You guys, I'm tired. I'm worn out, and I'll continue on with my thoughts. But Dre, I mean, you just went to the movies the other day. You went Thursday night, right? You went Thursday night.
Yes, Thursday night.
Thursday night. You put up your review on Friday. After everything, prior up to Thursday with everything else, because I know you had a good time.
Yes, I did.
How do you feel after She-Hulk and all this other crap?
Oh.
Woking is this devastated wasteland of our pop culture now. Are you as tired as I am?
I'm beyond tired. I am exhausted. Because I'm at the point apathy has set in for me. Like apathy has set in. Like it's not even about raging out or being upset or being, oh man, this should be better. This should be whatever. Because I remember rewinding the clock 20 years and when the first like X-Men movie came out. Everybody was excited about the movie, but we all nitpicked it because it wasn't like the cartoon.
I didn't like that first one.
Exactly. Like a lot of people didn't like it because it wasn't the cartoon. But that's a fine criticism because it's all about nerddom. And that's fine. Fast forward to today, we're complaining not because you didn't stick to the source material, which they aren't.
No.
But now you're just muddying the waters with woke propaganda and foolishness and an agenda and an alphabet this and a pronoun here and bruh, it's exhausting. Look, my camera's even exhausted. Look, I've been fuzzed out. There we go. Look, I'm exhausted. Like even talking about this stuff is exhausting because I miss just saying, hey, I enjoyed it, but this is some issues that I had, or hey, this is something from the source material they should have used, or what have you. It's insane. It's insane, and I hate in the state of film and television. But this is why I will say, I enjoyed Black Adam. I enjoyed that movie. I had fun. Is it great? Is it a great Hall of Fame film? No, it's a popcorn film. I enjoyed myself. I had fun. I had some good laughs. I saw some cool action sequences. I see some people get murked on a scale that hasn't been put in film in quite some time. I had fun. And I'm at the point in my life and the point of my viewing career that I'm not looking for the next Citizen Kane. I'm not looking for the next Logan. I'm not looking for the next Birds. I'm just trying to have fun. That's it. I used to be like, I have this high standard for great entertainment. I don't even want that anymore. I just want to be able to go to a theater or go to a show and just kick back and just laugh and enjoy myself.
Mm-hmm.
And that does not exist anymore as a whole. And that's why I'm just so tired and exhausted, because I know the moment I watch a new show or a new movie or a new this, I'm going to be slapped in the face with messaging telling me that I'm terrible because I have a penis and all the other terrible, horrible
Wait,
things.
you have a penis?
Believe it or not. Believe it or not. I have a penis.
Yeah, it's there.
And you've been black the whole time too, right?
Yeah, I have been black the whole time, Grump. Yeah.
Wow.
Wait, you're black.
So in the end, you got a night's entertainment, and you were satisfied that it didn't beat you over the head.
Exactly.
But
I had fun.
Yeah,
I enjoyed myself.
Yeah. And just I totally forgot that this was Mustang's new channel. He made it the other day while we were doing shit. I totally forgot that that's Mustang too. So Mustang doesn't have an ally. He's by himself. Okay. But yeah. So you're tired too. I mean, we do it because it's part of our job reviewing this shit, and it's cost of doing business. But at least you got a reprieve. You found something, you had a good time. Yeah, you had something fun. And again, like you said, Black Adam doesn't have to be the greatest thing in the world. Frankly, I'm more interested with the fact that okay, Cavill's back. Oh, spoilers!
Yeah.
Worst kept secret ever.
Yeah, like everybody knew.
The Cavill thing was a secret that they wanted out. They wanted everybody to
Very
know.
well put. Very well.
But they were also like getting on to people who were releasing the information. But I think they wanted people to know that Cavill was there. They just didn't want them to know how long he was going to be in there.
Mm-hmm. But to me, that's I am on the record, so I can honestly say, you want my attention. Give me Henry Cavill Superman. I've said it on this stream. I've said it on other streams, other videos. You have my attention again. You have my attention. I mean, Dragon Lady.
Yes.
How tired are you? Are you tired like us of all this stuff? Is that how you feel at this point after these months? Crap.
There's nothing I am looking forward to in the next few phases of the MCU. I have seen the preview. Well, when they announced all that lot at D23 or whatever it was back in the summer, and I was just looking at that and thinking, there's nothing I'm interested in. Nothing is jumping out at me saying, watch me, watch me. And normally I'd give stuff a chance, regardless if it's involve race or gender swapping, and give it a chance. I mean, the other day, I have to admit, I was watching the Halle Berry version of Catwoman again, first time in absolutely ages, and I have to admit, I was having a lot of fun watching that. And when it came out, hardly anyone liked it, yet they never complained at all. You didn't have the studio having a go at people for not liking it, not calling them racist or sexist or anything like that. But like, okay, nobody liked this film. We'll just try and sweep it under the rug.
I remember that. It came out.
Yeah.
We were all like, F this. I never watched it. It's like, who cares? Why am I watching a movie just about Catwoman? And it's not even the Catwoman I want to see. All right, fine, bitch about it. But it just got memory hold. And that was it. They ate their loss at the theater and they moved on. And Halle Berry never gave a shit. Halle Berry didn't give two shits.
She joked about it and that was it. And I respect
She's
her
recently
for
joked
that.
about it too.
Yeah,
I believe
I
she's
respect
recently.
her for it. She didn't go off and say, "Oh, you're a bigot for not liking this."
Yeah. I mean, so it's, and you've jumped ahead to what we're going to come around to later, the lack of excitement. So we're going to come back to that. Hold that thought. I mean, Grump, you already said you're not going to drive out to see this shit.
Delicacy, thanks to a wonderful coof, my local theater, which was a $5 theater, so it was a second or third week theater. So I never could see anything on week one. When it started dropping out of big theaters, then they would pick it up. But it was 20 minutes away. So I could just drive by, drop a $5, and go in there and watch something. Now the nearest theater is in Chester, I think, Chesterfield area. I'm not driving an hour and a half to see any of this crap.
It's not.
Granted, next year, somewhere around, what is it, somewhere in the middle of spring, there might be a Mario movie that me and my two boys are going to see, because we are hyped on that one.
That's a
we all
family
about
thing,
some
though.
Mario.
That's family. But the thing is, you just made the point, though.
No, but they ain't the ones that are hyped. I am. I love me some Mario.
But the thing is this, with the cost of gas, that's like the cost of a ticket to go out there right now, that distance.
Yeah.
It's like you're buying a whole extra ticket there and back. What's the point? Now, I as far as watching enough for this week, I with the exception of back in the day for an MCU movie, I would wait to go see things because I don't like being in a crowded theater. I like it.
I'm not. Most of the time, I actually, because I'm a cheap bastard, I actually wait till it's been on disc for about 3 or 4 weeks, and then it goes into Redbox. If I really want to watch it, I'll rent it for one night. But if I'm normally like my normal self, I'll wait about 4 weeks for it to go on sale for $5 on Blu-ray out of the Redbox, used because I am a cheap bastard. But if it's something really, really good, I'll go get it on 4K.
It's just
it ain't that I don't have the money; it's that I'm a cheap bitch.
That modulation is just working for it. All right. So, Dermy,
yes,
you've been watching as much of this crap. Not all of it. We have. How are you at this after these past couple of months? Because you did go through Rings of Power. You went through that. You also went through She-Hulk.
Yeah.
And you probably watched some things I didn't even watch. I don't know. So, I mean, how are you after these couple of months, these 2-3 months? How do you feel right now?
Honestly, before I had a YouTube channel, just didn't care anymore. Everything was just dead all around me. There's still several franchises that I view are just dead and gone. Star Wars doesn't exist anymore.
Disney Star
Doctor
Wars.
Who. Yeah. No, I can't even watch the OT anymore.
Oh, you're not there yet. I'll help you get there. I'll get you there.
It's all. I was there, and then I saw Mark Hamill's Twitter.
I just blocked that out. I look at Return of the Jedi, Mark Hamill. I realize that's a different man. Not the same dude.
I wish I could go back to that, but then there's like things like Doctor Who. The only reason I'm watching the new episode is to watch the witch burn. More of the things I'm just disappointed in because it's like I want to be excited for this stuff. I want to be hyped to go to the theaters again because I still have a roughly $5 theater, couple 30 minutes away. Survive through the coof because they found out to just view old movies to survive, and they got a buttload of money through doing that. But there's nothing left. It feels like I'll make content, I'll watch it, but I'm not excited.
But you see, that's the different. You bring it up now. They got a YouTube channel though. There's a different level of motivation. At least I find it for myself. It's the whole, okay, here's something I have an opinion on. I'm going to put it out there because I want to make sure that people don't know they're alone out there. That's kind of it. And that's why I got somebody came onto the stream the other night while I was playing Medieval Dynasty, and they were just so happy to have somebody who appreciated real Star Wars to talk to for a minute. And that's one of the things that I know where it's like, yeah, whenever the channel's struggling, whenever it hits a lull in growth, or the views aren't happening, this and that, I get a comment like that, or I have a quick little conversation like that, and it reminds me, this is why I'm doing this, to give that, if one person can find that, could get it attached to the good stuff again and remember it and find a little joy having a good nerd conversation for a minute, then it's all worth it. Because from a spark starts a fire, and then we get that. So you're beginning to understand. We have the channel. It takes on a little bit of aspect. Even when you hate something, you got to watch it. I mean, I didn't want to watch She-Hulk. You sick bastards out there made me do it. I didn't want to watch Andor, but I've actually sort of half quit Andor. We'll come back to it in another 5 weeks, and I'll close it off. But because you guys asked me to, I put the poll up. You guys said do it. So I'm providing an audience with a take and an opinion they want to see and hear. And I see you're beginning to understand that now, running a channel. And But you're the same thing. You're bringing in the other. You said the first thing that neither of us is for. You want that optimism back.
Yeah,
you want that hopefulness back. Now,
there's a few things I'm optimistic about.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Mario movie might be pretty fun.
Mm-hmm. I do too.
There's things here or there that I think aren't going to be that bad, but like our big tentpole movies, I'm just looking at it like I don't feel anything. Wakanda Forever. I'm gonna go see it in theaters because I want to make a movie on it. Plus, I want to be able to rip it apart and piss off a few people. But at the same time, I was excited for the original Black Panther. I want that excitement back.
Yeah, I gave that a 7 out of 10.
I'm kind of hopeful that it's actually pretty good because I like Siri as a character. I just hope you don't screw that one up.
It will, Grump.
Oh, no.
It will.
You saw the whole I'm excited look, right? Yeah. Not happening.
Yeah.
Looking at with Black Adam, I think Critical Drinker might see what a brute thinks of this one. He says, not sure what else to say about it at this point, but it was definitely a movie. Didn't make any mistakes. Neither does it do anything remotely new or different.
Perfect.
It was a Transformer movie.
I've heard that attributed to it a lot. Right?
I liked how Yellow Flash.
Hey, I can sit there and watch a Transformer movie knowing that I'll just go watch something go big, go boom.
Yep. Perfect.
Yellow Flash compared it to Godzilla vs. Kong.
Yep.
And I loved Godzilla vs. Kong.
Yep. I had a lot of fun with that movie.
Oh yeah, you give me any time that there's big monsters beating the hell out of each other, I'm watching it. I'm one of the people that actually was that Rampage. I love that movie. That was about to
Rampage?
Love it.
Wasn't bad.
Yep.
Rampage was pretty fun.
It was fun.
I like George. I like the ape. He was the funniest thing I've ever seen. The sarcastic asshole ape was funny as hell.
Yes, Kong did cheat.
Yeah. Team Godzilla. Always Team Godzilla.
Oh, I'm always Godzilla.
Always Team Godzilla. But
Godzilla should have won. But
Godzilla did win.
I said Mecha Godzilla.
Oh, Mecha Godzilla. Oh yeah. Well, we'll talk about that later. I have issue.
I have issues with what they did with Mecha Godzilla.
I'm an old school Godzilla guy. During the Shin era, where it was Hero Godzilla and all the classic ones that we all loved. I have issues with that.
Personally, I think King of the Monsters was a better movie. That's me.
Yes, it was.
Yes,
that's me.
I enjoyed
get all the
that
dumb
one.
people. Even my kaiju beating the shit out of each other. Too much people.
That as well.
Yeah. But Lady B. I know you might even be more tired because you're not even enjoying Hot D. So
that show is a slog, and it's kind of funny because I it's like you guys said, it's like you make the movies and you watch the stuff to give people like a view or like a different take on it. Do they think that they're not alone? And after the feet incident, I got a lot more people watching my review.
I'm gonna get this out of the way real quick. I agree with Lady B and Dane on House of the Dragon, especially for last episode. Although I liked what came before. Last episode was just...
okay. You guys brought it around to what I was going to say. Let's move this forward then. We've gone through all these months now, basically 3 months of stuff, and even with something that has been generally well received by Lady B's one side of the argument, then there's the other side of the argument. Guys like Shad, guys like Mauler, Gary.
I'm technically still over there, but last episode was so.
But there's my point. You've been waiting for the shoe to drop, and the first one just did, from my understanding.
Just to interject something here, a lot of people, it's really funny because I found that like when I try not to say like this just sucks and just rage farm, like I'll give reasons and like
you have your reasons, you have legitimate reasons,
and I've been really surprised because when I've done this with people, I'm so surprised at the number of people that end up agreeing with me, and I'm like, well, how come you guys are saying this good? And I just think it's like they're grading on a curve, and I refuse to do that. And another thing that I think is so funny too is the people are not funny, it's just interesting to see, and people are saying it's like they're waiting for the show to get good and they think that there's something is going to happen that's going to make all of this slog worth it, and I don't think that's going to happen. And it's funny because when I talked to Alex on my last review, he was kind of like that too. He was like, I'm willing to put up with the slowness of it and the problems of the show because he thinks something better is going to come. And he's like was saying basically like if the next episode doesn't do it, he'll probably change his mind about it.
Not to fully take us off track, but I was listening to Sporky News podcast last night, and somebody said something that I think might be the reason we all stuck around for so long, and that was Patty Constantine.
Patty Constantine. He did a decent. He did a really good job.
He was one of those fan favorites, and he's the person. I don't remember who said it, but they said Patty Constantine held the show together. He was the one that was.
I've heard that. I've heard
Matt
that,
Smith is fantastic. I love Matt Smith.
He's not in the show as much.
He's not, but Patty Constantine was that center. He was the one that was pulling everybody together, trying to keep everything solid. And the moment he left, that first episode that he's gone, everything went to shit. So it depends on the next episode. Granted, this last episode was directed by a bunch of women, so I mean.
But you guys
most of them are like the direction has been awful, and the stuff that they say at the end just confirms every like worst case scenario I've ever had with the show.
You guys just brought up a perfect point. Let me make this point though.
Yeah,
you sound like it sounds like me trying to talk to cognitive dissonant Star Wars fans and stans right now. Andor's so great. I'm so riveted. I'm so involved, and I keep thinking to myself, it's still Disney Star Wars. You've just you've laid that out right there. There are people, and yet you can like it. Just don't tell me it's Star Wars. It's not Star Wars. But you're liking it, enjoying it, thinking that is this going to save Disney Star Wars?
No.
Is it because it's still set on a road that leads to the sequel trilogy and Jake Skywalker?
It's a prequel to a prequel where the dude dies.
Exactly.
What do you think is going to happen? How is this going to save anything?
And what they're doing is the Disney with that, just to slightly tangent, and we'll get back to that. But what they're doing with that is they are purposefully altering history to fit stories they want to tell, to change it. I brought this up this week. I am going to bring it up right now. I had this one ready. I didn't think I was going to come back to it, but I am going to bring it up. A video that I did earlier in the week where Disney Star Wars literally just changed canon history from one of the most famous lines in Star Wars. In Return of the Jedi, when they're getting ready to, when they're doing the war room on the attack on the second Death Star, Mon Mothma's famous line, many Bothans died.
Bothan lives matter.
Yes, information.
Yeah,
now here,
lives matter.
Right here, in this wonderful book, let me go full screen for myself there. Hold on. In this wonderful book right here, Shadows of the Empire, the Bothans are there. Luke happens to be there too, but the Bothans are there. Well, in this one, I don't have that part set up because I didn't save those. In the Disney Marvel Star Wars comics, it's apparently some humans from the whole Crimson Reign or whatever the hell Kira's little fake fanfic crap is that got the information out of the Death Star. And then Luke goes and rescues them on Coruscant. No Bothans, apparently. And I double-checked. I looked at the comic. I found the screen caps. Those are not Bothans. Maybe Bothans were involved later on, but in helping them escape Coruscant, I don't know how, because this is High Empire Coruscant. No aliens on that world anymore. It's all humans because Palpatine hated aliens. But they are changing stuff. But they are doing this stuff in order to alter, in order to change narratives, in order to get rid of what was real, what was not. And you guys make the perfect point. Why are you convincing yourselves that anything is going to change when you're watching them change originally there, or what originally happened? Now, again, I can't speak to the Hot D because I don't know what Hot D looks like. But I can speak to Star Wars. I can speak to a little bit of Lord of the Rings. I can speak to other things like that. But you're asking the same question. It sounds like what I ask these people, and they never have an answer. At least you're getting some answers when you ask that question, Lady B. You're getting some answer, and it's a legitimate answer. I feel it's not an illegitimate, but it's got some real emotion to it. You're not getting a robot response that I get.
I think it's really interesting because I've always wondered, and I keep wanting to make a big video of this, and I've just had not the time to do the research, but looking at stuff about propaganda and stuff like that, and Edward Bernays and Yuri Bezmenov, and Yuri Bezmenov talks about the point of demoralization and the 4 stages of that, and I think that was really part of that, where they want us to get to the point where we're apathetic, where we just don't care about anything anymore. Because once we get to that point, we'll be willing to accept whatever kind of stuff that they'll hand out to us. And Yuri Bezmenov spoke about, when they're going after this and this New World Order kind of people, they aren't going, it's not going to be a military campaign. They are going for the culture wars. They are going to attack the things that matter most, the things that give us hope, so we don't have it. And I hate that, because when I've been watching House of the Dragon, it's I wanted to do a rage video when I saw how they were changing the lore of the story. I wanted to be so upset. I was upset, but I wasn't I just kind of didn't care, because it just wasn't. It wasn't so bad that I hated it. And the only thing that really got me to the raging point was the crap with the feet. And I hate feeling that way.
Yeah, so
because
I
know
was
that's what they want.
Scene in this last episode.
So they could have made it work, because the guy who had the foot fetish has a club foot.
Okay, that's the second time I've heard feet. What the devil's happening?
So apparently, the character of Allison took off her shoes, and did the guy smack it to it?
Yeah, he was jerking it to her feet.
Okay.
And
they held, this is one of those things where the don't show and let us, kind of suspect that that's what's going on should have been working. Instead, they just left it. He was blurry, and they left it on his arm moving up and down a little too long.
Yeah, it's sitting there, and you just see his hand going to his thing like this, and it's just
And doing that, they make Allison a
Gray's
victim.
broken.
It's the victim thing.
Gray.
I think you could have probably sold off that scene if you didn't paint her to be a complete victim. I would have been able to buy it more if she was using that as a way to manipulate him and she knew what she was doing. But no, it's just crap.
I think if they didn't do the victim part, that could have just been, hey, I need your help. Here's my feet. Do what you do.
What is happening? Wait.
Trey,
no,
He's all, wait.
What?
Hey, listen. They were some nice feet. I'm not into that, but they were some nice feet.
Wait, okay,
I am not into
hold on,
feet.
Wait, give me a hot second. Okay, give me a hot second. So let me get this straight. So
it's a joke.
Is it some young lady?
Well, she's the queen.
Okay, the queen.
She showed feet.
Okay. So the lady showed her feet to somebody.
Yeah,
Yes.
to a guy
And
that
he's
gets off on feet, and then he
Hot D
started
and
jerking
feet.
to her feet.
To be fair, we did not expect him
intentionally.
to be getting off.
Yeah.
Yes, they showed that intentionally.
Okay,
Yeah.
so the queen takes her feet, takes her shoes off. This gentleman gazes upon these feet and then proceeds to do what is necessary to relieve himself in front of the young lady.
Apparently so.
Yes.
Young lady, I don't think I'm going to go that far, but she's maybe 30
Why?
years old.
That's what I said. It's how do they not go through the whole thing and they don't even give us any tits or anything remotely titillating to see, and you just go straight to feet. No.
Again, that's one of my biggest
Was
gripes about
Quentin
the show.
Tarantino involved at all? That's what I.
That's one of my biggest gripes about the show is the only pair of tits you ever see is in episode 1, and they're a flat chester. You only ever see maybe everything but the areola. You never get to see anything, and it's maybe a
the whole
split moment.
The whole sex scenes are so bad in the show. It's you have Damon not being able to get it up. in a like group sex scene in a brothel. You have the orgy that Damon takes Rhaenyra to, and then you have Rhaenyra's totally unsexy 5-minute long boring ass sex scene where you don't see anything with Kristen Cole. You have Aemond jerking off, or Aegon jerking off in the window.
Yeah, I heard about
they
that.
They show him like Tommen.
Dre's broken a grin.
Yeah.
This is why I just play video games.
It's like
this is why I don't watch this garbage. What the?
But
heck
it's
is
like
going on?
they talk about the female gaze, and I'm like, you know what women want? Women want toxic masculinity.
Yes,
women want good tits
and nice
Yeah.
tits. Like
I want nice tits.
I will
Okay.
go on for days about
I'll give
Isildur
us-
sister.
There
Yes.
we go.
Isildur sister.
Journal
Yes.
rant.
And this is why I watched 300.
Thank
Well,
you.
all family
Thank
men.
you.
I watched 300.
Oh, dude,
I got
that's
no problem
like one
with
of my
300.
favorite movies. I call it my trash movie that I love that movie so much.
Yeah.
And I like it because it just gets me fired up. I mean, the guys are hot. It gets me fired up. I want to beat
Hey,
people up.
What's her name?
Yeah. Lena Headey's
Lena
really
Lena,
hot.
Lena
man.
Headey. Yeah, Lena Headey. Oh, I'm okay with
I just
that.
call her Game of Thrones lady because I can never remember her name or pronounce it without looking at it. I do
A lot of people just call her
apologize.
Cersei nowadays, I believe. But yeah, Lena Headey. That's some hot business in the beginning of 300 with Lena Headey.
Yes.
Look at that Dragon Lady's like, yes.
Right.
But I mean, you guys are understand what we're saying. We just got excited talking about older things. We're gonna bring it full circle here. Dragon Lady touched on it earlier when I asked her this. Where's the excitement for things? I mean, Dre had some excitement over Black Adam, but it was basically the excitement of I was entertained for the evening, not necessarily going back for seconds. But I mean, Dre, are you thinking about buying this on Blu-ray?
Ooh, I don't think I'd add it to my collection personally. I don't think I'd get this in 4K Ultra HD. I don't think I'd add it to that. But like of course it's going to streaming. But like if it was on streaming and I had some time, I'd definitely watch it again. But I wouldn't go out of my way to be like, oh snap, Black Adam's dropping in 3 weeks. Like it's not.
Yeah. All right. So it's
This
not
sounds like on my little range of the way I look at movies. This is gonna fall into the I'm gonna wait till it's on sale for $5 in Redbox on a Blu-ray.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna buy it new from Walmart.
It falls in that.
You're not watching this on Black Friday for a price drop. Right, this year. No, you're not watching that. No, you're not doing that.
Like what Grump said. Like if I happen to be at Target and I stumble across a bargain bin and it's in there, I'll buy it. But I wouldn't be like, it wouldn't be a countdown to 3 days until, 2 days until. It wouldn't be that.
I know, that's kind of like how I was feeling about like Black Panther. It's like I like that movie. I actually bought it, but it's like all of the interesting story parts that came from that movie were like with Eric Killmonger and all of the kind of conflicts that he made legitimate points criticizing what Wakanda was and how they treated other Black people. That was the most interesting part of the story. But
I mean,
Big Boss fight at the end, and yeah, he's gone. So any kind of like potential conflicts you could have with like Wakanda and the greater world, like no.
But then
I kind of agreed with Wakanda versus Killmonger because I mean, who doesn't like a country that is isolated and has a giant wall around it?
And it's like a nationalistic ethos take.
Yeah,
but
and
so,
like,
other
like,
than that last part, I don't mind the nationalistic part.
I don't mind it either. I just thought it was interesting because he was like the one character that seemed to say anything possibly critical about how they worked it. And that was the interesting part, and his story and how he was kind of the guy that didn't have the kind of privilege, the superhero story, yet he was the one that was interesting.
Yep, I agree. And I'm one of the very few folk, well, in my circles that thought this movie was mid. I thought Black Panther.
I gave it 7 out of 10 when I watched
it. If that. Like
okay.
Killmonger elevated it, but as far as I'm concerned, it was kind of by the numbers. It didn't really give me anything that I was really excited about. A lot of folks, especially in my area, very predominantly Black area, was basically this was our Jesus movie. And everybody's like, "Oh, if you Black, you gotta see it."
I'm sad when I read that. It's like that's
I'm like, excuse me, you don't tell me what I can watch.
No,
that's slavery. Telling me what I have to.
But the thing is this: so you're not going to buy it, and even if we get a Black Adam Superman movie later, you're still not going to go buy it because the the Easter egg, it's not enough because that is meaningless because that's not really part of the movie. That was tacked on. We all know the story. They got it in the last minute because the old regime of Warner Brothers is out. The ones that kept Henry Cavill from being Superman for 10 years. You know,
Who does
we
that?
got So who does that? Who does that? That man should be in every goddamn movie with an action in it right now because everybody loves Cavill.
It's true.
It seems to be a genuinely nice dude. He's a nerd. He's a nerd. He's a genuine nerd who understands the culture. And every time they try to get him to talk shit about fans, he pivots, says, no. That famous line, that's not toxicity. That's passion. That's passion. That's love.
Well, and that's why they don't want him in there.
Exactly, Grump. That's
Right,
exactly why.
That's an opinion. You're not allowed to have that.
Yeah. Who was the last guy that played Batman? He was
Ben Affleck, wasn't it?
No.
Wait a minute. Was Sparky
Robert
Pattinson?
Robert Pattinson.
Okay.
So I saw an interview with Robert Pattinson shortly after the last Batman dropped. Cannot remember all the names. But he was with whoever that Catwoman lady was. And he's actually a nerd too.
Yeah,
I was shocked at that.
Batman fan as well.
He's a huge Batman fan. Plus, he was a Final Fantasy fan. And they were talking and stuff. And he said his favorite video game's Final Fantasy VII.
I remember that.
That Catwoman lady comes in and goes like, "Oh, so you like your women looking like this?" And he just looks at her and goes like, "Yeah."
Yeah, Zoe Kravitz.
Yeah, Zoe Kravitz.
I like that.
Yeah.
We need more we need more people that like these franchises, legitimately like these stories. Hey, maybe they take it a little different route than what the original story was, but still keep it on what the story's supposed to be. We need that. What we have now are people like crazy fat Asian lady who did She-Hulk who just wanted to own the fans.
Her name is Jessica Gao, and I hate
Jessica
her.
Gao.
I said Chow. I'm a racist.
And then how they wanted to make that whole show sex positive fun for the whole family.
Right here.
No.
Look at this right here. This
fun
is what
for
they.
nobody.
This is where they want to go with this. I had this one ready. This is where they want to go with that.
I hate that stupid show.
She has nice tits. That's all this chick has going for. She's got
Turn
nice
it off.
tits.
Was that was that her paralegal?
No, that was the
she's
drunk
just
chick
some
from
drunk hooker that ended up stumbling into the show.
Drunk party girl, who's now banging Wong. We don't know, but I mean,
Why?
So they want to make
this so bad. Why do they want women like this? This is so gross. Like that isn't good for women. That's not empowering. Like being a hoe and like getting drunk all the time because your life sucks. Like that is great about that.
No, but this is where they want to go. So again, where's the excitement right now? Black Adam, it's a moment, but it's just a moment of we had a nice entertainment. And if it opens the door to Cavill Superman, that's great. That's something to be future excited. But look at the rest of the landscape, the MCU. You guys we don't care about Wakanda never. Nobody's excited for that because the writing's all over the wall for that one, for the most part. Let's see what else. We know we want to talk about Disney Star Wars. Disney Star Wars is dead. Because it's not real Star Wars. This show is not remotely Star Wars. It shows up in the fact that you can't even find it on its premiere week. This was the 19th to the 25th, and or premiered on the 21st of September. I remember because I was there. It was dead on arrival. Dead on arrival. It couldn't even break the top 10 of its week, and you have to go to original streaming. Stuff like Fate the Winx Saga. Beat it.
We're not.
Winx is
Cobra
still
Kai
a thing?
is still it became a live action
thing, yeah.
Oh, that you serious?
Cobra Kai is still beating them.
Well, this was the just after the premiere week. So this was Cobra Kai just premiered a week before. But this is indicative of what's going on. This stuff doesn't register because nobody's watching. And that was his premiere week. It has to have crashed even farther. This is now 2 weeks for Rings of Power after it premiered, dropped down. A show about a serial killer is destroying everything at this point.
And you know what's interesting too about this thing is that Dahmer series, it like dropped all the episodes at once. So
Oh, it was a binge drop. I didn't know that.
yeah, I think that's what they did. But like, what else is on here? Like Father Stew and Lou are both movies, and Father Stew was like a total like non-event when it was released in the theater, and it's charting on the top 10 now. That's just really funny. And then
liked it for some reason.
yeah, and then El Rey Vicente Fernandez is like a like Spanish language thing, which is really surprising too. Because usually I think the way they do the ratings is they do it for different like countries and languages too. I don't remember exactly off the top of my head.
But in the end, here you go. You got Black Adam. It's a moment. It's not indicative of future excitement. So where's the excitement for everything? I mean, we've got some shows we're kind of going to look at. Wednesday, Willow. We hope Willow is going to trash the original movie. Other stuff, we're not excited for Wheel of Time Season 2. What the MCU is, it's black holes of nothing going forward. The DCEU has a chance if they can capitalize on the Cavill lust. But there's nothing. That's why I say it's just a wasteland right now, which is why it leads me to my other point from earlier, from the other day, is it's the time of the independent sphere. Dre is part of that. I want to be part of that. Jed is part of that. Others are making giant moves right now, showing that it's there, but you have to have your base or backing to really pull it off. And that's why I can't go anywhere yet, because I don't have, I'm not big enough yet. It's just that simple. I'm not a big entity here. I'm trying there, and the trust and support of everybody in the chat and you guys getting me towards there every inch, every day. But everything it's growing. To quote Razor Fist, who quoted this, it's the Iron Age. It's raw, it's hardcore, and it's in your face. And we are now, that's what the future is. Because what's to look forward to with Hollywood? Nothing. I don't look forward to any of that. All right, we're closing in. Looks like we've managed to get to the end of this section just about. So some closing thoughts on all this stuff. Grump, what do you got going?
It looks like Batwoman is back.
What are you talking about, Grump?
I'm looking through Twitch like always, but it looks like Javicia Leslie will be back in the final season of The Flash.
Oh, who cares? Who cares?
That's not. Let me just go ahead and hit this here a little bit, because I need Dre's opinion on this, because I don't know, because I never gave a shit about most of this. Does this look comic book accurate?
That's the gay
Batwing. What is the name of Christian Christ?
That's Red Death.
What is that?
That's the Batwing soy boy, isn't
it? That's he says
that's Red Death.
So they're doing bat metal. Or the hard metal, like the Joker that Batman that laughs and everything like that.
Yeah, Batman that laughs.
Oh, that's her.
Wait, what?
Oh my god!
What?
I've seen enough.
Okay. What's a chick supposed to be? Is that supposed to be a chick? No.
No, honestly, I never saw. Some people said, "Oh, at least she's hot." I never thought she was that hot.
Oh my!
She had. Hey, she has some nice tits.
You couldn't tell through that. Put 15 pounds of freaking armor over top of her.
What is going on?
I agree. That looks like a bad
Twitch the word red.
Oh my god!
Why is she?
Why does nothing die?
There we go. I thought this is what Red Death looked like.
Yeah, that is what Red Death looks like.
All right, so I wanted to say that's what I wanted to check.
Yeah, that is Red Death. Yeah, like
I'm confused. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on.
I don't know what that cheap cardboard box cosplay garbage was, but man,
why is she Red Death? That's the
it needs to now. We're asking the right questions. What the heck did she? Oh my god! Oh my god! My brain.
And like I said, I don't know anything about any of that. All I saw was that they're saying that's Red Death, and I'm like, I didn't read all the comic books, but that don't look like the one that I knew.
So it's
saying right here, some photos of Javicia Leslie as Red Death.
Oh my god! They're gonna do the daggone Flashpoint. Oh my god!
They're doing Flashpoint again.
Oh my god!
Wait, doing Flashpoint in the TV series, and the movie's supposed to do Flashpoint.
Oh my god!
Oh! Just to cap this off before we roll into the next segment of the show. Oh, Snoobot, kill it.
Yep, we got him.
Awesome.
We should have a game to see who can get him first.
We're gonna split the baby. Remember, we made our gentleman's bet. We made our gentleman's bet about whether or not they're going to release the Flash movie with Ezra Miller. It looks like we're going to end up splitting the baby because you guys are right. It looks like that movie's going to go forward, but I'm also right because there looks like they're going to ditch Ezra after it because he might be going to jail for 26 years.
We talked about this on the Legion stream yesterday. Don't think he's going to go to jail.
Well,
he's a Hollywood star, but
it's bad publicity.
Yeah. That's bad publicity.
That's what I said originally. There's too much around him. There's no way he's going to be radioactive forever. So they're going to have to get rid of him. So we split the baby on that.
There's also a rumor DOA though.
Well, there's a rumor that Henry Cavill
is in it.
Batfleck and Wonder Woman are over there.
Yeah, they were. I've heard it mentioned several times that they were in LA when they were doing the reshoots. Still, so they're doing Flashpoint on for the Berlanti verse.
The only thing I can think of for her to be Red Death is if they do some type of weird Flashpoint to replace, because you can't have Bruce Wayne, obviously, because they don't have him in any of these CW shows. So if they do a Flashpoint for her to take over as Thomas Wayne-esque character
instead of Thomas Wayne Batman,
yeah. Oh my God!
Why Red?
But it's over. But this is it? The Flash is it. The entire Arrowverse is done with this, isn't it?
Well, no,
yes,
they have.
It's supposed to be dead.
Don't they have Gotham Knights?
Separate. That's not attached. That's a whole nother can of god awful.
That don't look. I'm surprised they started production. That joint's already getting like a half a season. That joint's getting like 6 or 8 episodes or something.
Gotham Knights makes no success when you have the game that just came out where that looks like a Batman. It looks like a Batman world, and then this other thing has nothing to do with it.
Well, then I think the video games also didn't do well. I don't remember what
it just dropped yesterday.
I wish they just.
I thought it dropped on Friday.
Yeah,
I thought it dropped. I think the story leaked and people weren't.
Oh, I don't know about the story. I just know it dropped. I think it dropped on Friday.
Yeah,
I think it was something to do with.
Let's see. I can pull that up in a heartbeat. Gotham Knights, mixed reviews, 2,500 reviews, 66% positive. That's not good for Steam.
No, not at all.
Steam normally for a good game is going to be right at 90. Great game is going to be 95 and above. You're at 66. You just pissed off a lot of people.
Not only that, didn't they lock the game at 30 frames per second on consoles?
You have to consent to data mining to play. Let's see.
Yeah, no thanks.
Anger, disappointment, disgust, blah blah, a whole lot of shit.
Well, either way, it links back to people are either apathetic or they're raging. There's the excitement, the hope just isn't there for anything. And it's sad. It's sad. But I think the independent sphere, I think that's where the future is, and I hope it is. I just wish I was in a better position to take advantage of the initial start. But I'm just not. I
like the independent creator stuff, but even because I used to just watch a lot of independent cinema, and even that has gotten really crappy. It's not exciting. There's nothing new, original coming in there. It's like all of the wokenesses seem to gone into there.
But it's going to come from our sphere, because look at Chris. His short film funded in a day, and it's now almost going near $200,000. I think last time I heard about it. That thing blew past its minimum requirements.
Yeah, I think kind of try to I guess I would say that's different. Independent cinema versus people that aren't involved with Hollywood. I think there's probably a delineation there, because when I said independent, it's usually small budget films like between 500,000 to under 2 million or something like that. Mm-hmm. That's what I was talking about. More like movies people like A24 and Annapurna Pictures, those kind of people.
The future is with us.
Yeah, it definitely.
Legacy is dying. Both publishing, comics, TV, and maybe not video games, but we're seeing plenty of
The
independent
independent video game market
Yeah.
is just blown up and it's great.
Yeah, I mean, we're
I
having
play more independent titles than I play AAAs.
Yeah, I mean, I'm having a good time with Medieval Dynasty. It's a good little game once we got it working.
I've got the Ken. I'll play the crap out of that. The only thing that's matching it is, what is it, 2017 game. Y'all might have heard of it, Breath of the Wild. I finally got to be able to play that because of issues back in 2017 when it came out. I won't do a whole lot of anything.
All right. We are.
If anybody out there's wondering about Doctor Who, our buddy Ass put out a simple one-sentence phrase, F off BBC, glad you're getting defunded. So apparently he just finished watching an episode and is not happy.
Yeah, so, well, we're not going to talk about the bitch burning because Jed isn't here, and none of us are watching it because we haven't watched it, and we're not built for that, but we are now going to transition over to talking some Rings of Power versus Wheel of Time. So, regular Roundtable members, I release you. Dre, what do you got coming up this week?
Okay, so this week, tomorrow, we have our Brutal Rant episode. We're going to be talking about Black Adam, critics versus the fans. So we're going to be talking about that on Monday. Tuesday, we'll be dropping some more comic book and media news. As always, Wednesday, have a great interview to drop on Wednesday with our very own Lady B.
Awesome. We had a great conversation. I'd love to talk to you again.
Yes, we had ourselves a good time. So I'll be dropping at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And Tales of the Jedi is this Tuesday. Tales of the I might be dropping a review at some point. What in the world's going on? Everybody's disappearing. Where are the bodies? Okay.
I might be dropping shit. Hey, we'll sit here and have our own show now.
All that's left.
I mean, you'll sit here and talk about some Pokemon and some Legend of Zelda. We'll be here for the rest of the day. It'll be fine. Everything will be great.
Okay.
Kicked out.
Okay. Don't know what that was.
What the hell?
That was weird.
What
the hell? Y'all gonna just go do y'all's own show or something.
I guess we're running this show.
Tales of the Jedi. Are we talking the Disney thing coming out or
Tales of the Jedi? It's. I know you're not touching it. It's Dave Filoni, so I know you're not.
Oh my god, I'm so mad at him. I cannot believe that I went to Star Wars Celebration in Anaheim right when Disney bought it, and he sits up there and he's like, you know what? We're just gonna stop it. We're not gonna do any more Clone Wars, and I'm not going to redo the story or anything. And then we get stupid Rebels and stupid Ezra and all of the characters that they
Try Hard
and
Jedi.
made it crap.
The Tryhard Jedi, who they've said now was just as important to defeating Palpatine as anybody. Go fuck yourself.
I hate Ezra.
All right.
Dre,
you can enjoy it, though. You can enjoy it, though. I'm not going to tell you not to enjoy it. I'm going to piss all over
I don't plan on enjoying it.
Yeah.
But I plan on reviewing it.
Okay. That's different. I'm out. I'm going there. All right. Grump. What are you doing this week?
Right now, I've pretty much got just a handful of things lined up. I will be playing Breath of the Wild. It's my first playthrough of it because of just the way my life was in 2017. So I finally got around to it. I bought it a couple weeks ago, and I figured that'd be a game I could, I need a game on the Switch to carry to work. So whenever I'm stuck in traffic, I got something to play. And then I got addicted to it damn near instantly, except for the freaking damage to your weapons. I like the game, but this crap, I hit something twice and your sword break is really starting to get on my nerve. I'll be playing Kenna on and off because that game is absolutely awesome. Mario Mondays, if I wake up in time, I'll probably just do Mario Kart just so I can rage. Other than that, just on off random game streams.
There's tricks for Breath of the Wild to get your weapons to last longer. So,
yeah, I need them because I had a nice broadsword, and my favorite thing is the spear. I had one of the nice spears, and it broke like in 3 hits. They got a halberd. I love a halberd. It breaks every time I use it.
You have to get further in, and eventually you'll start getting some really cool stuff and do some of the the mini mission, the dungeon area style things, and you can get some legendary weapons that have cool abilities.
Yeah, I gotta hurry up and get there because I'm getting so sick of breaking, running, finding something else, hitting stuff with a stick. I keep having to go after them with a stick. And the crap of low amounts of arrows is really pissing me off because I like to sit there and snipe the hell out of motherfuckers.
Well, you can catch Grump in his live stream gaming. I don't know if he's running the voice modulator during that, but I don't know about that. Anyway, we bid farewell.
Oh shit, am I on voice mod?
The whole time.
I have? Which freaking voice is
You didn't know you had the voice mod on the whole show.
Like,
We thought you were. All right, we thought you were doing a bit the whole time. That's why we've been laughing
I thought so
at you.
too.
We've been laughing at you the whole show because we thought you were doing a bit.
Oh shit, I'm on Odin too, of all voices, damn it.
Yeah, I was thinking, I hope he's going to be done with this soon because it's getting kind of annoying. But he's doing a bit, so I'm going to let him run with it. Thank you, Grump. That's Grump, everybody.
That makes everything even better.
He didn't even know.
Hell yeah.
No. All right.
That finally I've had a good moment for my day. I've finally put myself in a better mood.
Honestly, who here thought he was doing a bit?
Me.
I thought it was. I thought it was
Green room, was he doing a bit? Raise your hands. I can see you. I can see you guys. He was doing a bit. Yeah. Back room. Green room says we all thought he was doing a bit. All right. Grump, Dre, thanks for being here, guys. We'll see you next week when we come back to regular regular stuff.
Nice to see
you guys have the rest of your day. I go play. Go frolic. I release you. Take it easy, guys. All right. Now we're switching to our next topic because we didn't have a chance to yesterday to get everybody in here to talk about Wheel of Time versus Rings of Power. What has done more damage? Let's bring in the fresh panel. Although you guys take a breath. You've done your duty for an hour, but we're doing you. Bringing in Dane from the White Cloaks. Bringing in Alex Green. Welcome. We've never met. Welcome to the show. All the White Cloaks. And Son of Joxer joins us as well. And we are expecting Steve, Prophet of the Dragon, to try and make it as well. Hopefully he can get here. Either way, but this is our panel for this. So, hi guys. How we doing? We okay?
All right.
Doing well. All right. So, I'm sorry. I'll start with Alex. Good to meet you. Welcome to the show. We've never met before, but I've heard great things. I've heard good things.
I couldn't say it better myself. I've heard phenomenal things. I really enjoyed the show, so it's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, Lady B and Dane are both spoken very highly of you, so I'm like, you know what? I'll break my rule of not meeting somebody. Let them ride on in because I trust Lady B and I trust.
Yeah,
Dane.
don't make me look bad, Alex. No, Alex is
He'll behave.
good. He's done a lot of stuff with me, and he
all right.
has secret love of Lord of the Rings. So I did not know that.
All right, so here we go. I asked this question a couple of weeks ago. Rings of Power has been a disaster. We can all agree on that. It's just been a massive disaster. Wheel of Time last year, in this exact moment of time, was also a massive disaster. But it took a lot of people were trying to defend, and they're still defending to this day. We've seen it. We've all experienced it at this point. The stands for the Wheel of Time, the page chills, it's mind-blowing. So I thought to myself, what's been worse for their brand? Not necessarily overall, but in terms of presentation, not necessarily part of the franchise too, but not necessarily entirely franchise, and for perception in everything. So since our fresh guest just came in, now let's see. I don't know exactly where everybody falls on this, so we're gonna attempt to have a nice discussion. I'm here to basically moderate. I have some thoughts, but you guys are even a lot more passionate on all this than I am. So I just want to get this is a coping session. I think we're here to vent our frustrations. We're here to put Rings of Power to bed, but we're also here to bolster ourselves because Wheel of Time Season 2 is right around the corner, and we are going to probably all have certain levels of meltdowns during it because we're not apathetic. We're not checked out. We want it. We wanted good adaptations. But I learned something. I was watching Gary on Nerdwatic. I did not know that Rafi Poo was married to Lindsay goddamn Weber from Bad Reboot. I didn't know that.
So
I thought he was gay.
I think he's gay, but he's the Rings of Power person is married to a producer. Possibly over on Rings of Power on Wheel of Time. So
I thought they said showrunner, but maybe it was wrong. I don't know. Either way, there's still bad incest going on between the productions.
Everybody's a producer on fucking Wheel of Prime. Like, look at the credits. There are 14 people on the
And
opening
they both
credits with
had
the
Wayne
producer
Yip
credits.
too. Oh God.
All right. So I know where Dane stands, obviously. Alex, where do you stand on this right now? Which is hurting more? Which has been more hurtful in the overall?
So it depends on who you're saying, who is hurt. Amazon is clearly more hurt by Rings of Power. Wheel of Time is hurt more as a brand than Lord of the Rings is by Rings of Power, though.
Okay.
You know, Amazon forked over, 10 digits worth of cash to make Rings of Power, like an unfathomable sum of money. So that being a disaster looks bad on everybody. And I fully expect there to be some fairly high-profile firings coming up in the next month or two because of that. However, Lord of the Rings has had its adaptions. Like the Peter Jackson trilogy originally was phenomenal. The Hobbit trilogy is looking better by the minute, even if it wasn't great.
I like it. It's fine by me. I'm okay with it.
Whereas Wheel of Time was in its 2010 Game of Thrones, where if this adaptation had been phenomenal, Wheel of Time would have taken off.
Mm-hmm.
Because before the Game of Thrones show came out, the Wheel of Time was the second highest selling fantasy series of all time. And since since the Game of Thrones show came out, Game of Thrones has passed it significantly. So if Wheel of Time had had a great adaptation, it might have claimed its spot back, and it might have earned a serious sort of place sort of in the public identity. Whereas because it was so bad and nobody watched it, and those that did watch it were disgusted by it, it fell by the wayside, and it's one more, fantasy property left on the side of the road in the name of bad streaming services.
And let's not forget what I think was top of mind prior to Wheel of Time airing, and that was the Game of Thrones ended as a disaster, and a lot of people pointed that out as running out of source material. And the fact that Wheel of Time had 14 complete books,
no shortage.
The expectation was purely that it was not going to repeat Game of Thrones falling off a cliff because they had all the books. And it had a beautiful ending put together by Brandon Sanderson that everybody was very, very satisfied with.
Yeah.
So the repeat couldn't happen. And then to everyone's utter shock, we got season 8 of Game of Thrones in Wheel of Time season 1. And
So Game of Thrones had a season 8. Wheel of Time had 8 seconds. It took 8 seconds for Moraine to say, men with great power destroyed the world, the arrogance.
Yeah.
It lasted 8 seconds before it
it was
died.
38 seconds.
Well, that's ass. He didn't make it 30 seconds in. Real quick.
But Alex, one quick question for me is, personally, which one hurt you more? Because, I mean, we can say about what did more damage to the brand, which one was worse, but let's not separate ourselves from the properties, I guess, that we care about the most.
I'm going to say Wheel of Time hurt me worse, not because it wasn't better, but because in the year following the Wheel of Time, I have become a very cynical and guarded person when it comes to fantasy adaptations. Like, I was mostly guarded by the time that Star Wars had ended, but by the time Wheel of Time had wrapped out, I see a new product and I groan. Like, please stop doing new Marvel things. Please stop doing all of these new properties. You're just making them shitty. So my heart wasn't on the line with Rings of Power, if that makes sense.
Corey Castle for $5. Thank you very much, Corey. All due respect to Robert Jordan, but Rings of Power is a degradation of the greater works of Tolkien. Wheel of Time also wasn't retconned as flippantly, in my opinion. That's a great. Let's start off with that right there. So, Rings of Power, I see it as a massive insult to Tolkien's world, because it's that whole thing. And I think Wheel of Time started it with the whole, we're going to do it better.
Mm-hmm.
Wheel of Time started that theme, but I feel like they took it to a new level with Rings of Power in terms of we're going to actually rewrite stuff we have no rights to. I mean, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. I think like Wheel of Time did that too. It was the whole like we need to update it for a modern audience, and they went as far as completely altering how the magic system works and the themes, and then it's like they went to the whole like, well, we have too much source material to put in this adaptation, but went on for like 3 episodes of their own BS storylines. So I don't know. Like, I found the subversions of the themes and stuff to be like really, really bad too in Wheel of Prime, and I feel like I can't say that much with Rings of Power because you don't know the source material that well. So, if you guys have some feelings about that, like, fill in.
Well, my basic thesis is that which show you think is worse depends on whether or not you're a book fan.
Yeah,
now,
that's an excellent point.
If you're I watched Wheel of Time as a normie. I didn't know the books, didn't know the characters, so I was the ideal audience, I suppose, for that franchise. But I knew it was bad when I was watching it, but it was laughably bad. It was entertaining in its own right. Rings of Power was so boring, I can't make that claim. But in terms of as a book reader, if you evaluate each franchise on its quality as an adaptation, I think Wheel of Time is worse. Because like Lady B was saying, when it's not just that they didn't just retcon the magic system, they completely tossed it aside and inserted their own. Like the whole point, the Wheel of Time has a gendered magic system. It's unique, it's highly developed, it's the gendered magic system drives the plot of the book series in several points. Where there's a 4-book arc where there's this one power and it has 2 aspects, the male and female side, and the male side has been tainted by the dark one, and so there's this whole arc where the Dragon Reborn tries to cleanse the male side of the power. It's a huge deal. And the way the series ends, the whole the dark one is defeated by male and female sides of the power working in concert to make it happen. Now, the way the magic system is portrayed in Wheel of Time, it has no gender. It's an agendered power, and it's only tainted because men use it. Period. And so, the fact that they degendered the magic system, it makes an adaptation impossible. It's not an adaptation at all. It's a mutilation. It's a mutilation of the source material.
I think the other thing important here too is to note the intent, and from the outset or from the start of the adaptations, they were just straight up like, we're going to change this, and the creators of the show are saying, well, if you guys complain what we do about this character, we're just going to make them gay. Oh, you don't like this, he's gay. Like, you don't like this, he's gonna have that.
His intentions were malicious.
Yeah, like the malicious
point.
intent.
Let me ask that question then. So, who, and anybody can answer this. Who do you think went at this with more intention of negativity? Rafe and his crew, or the Bobbsey twins and their crew?
Bobbsey twins.
Bobbsey twins. All right, Jeremy, go ahead and start. You start off now.
Because Tolkien's always been their target. They've always wanted to destroy Tolkien.
Okay.
For all this cultural revolution stuff, all this culture war stuff, even when the hippies, their side were doing the Hobbit things, their side got pissed off because no, you're not allowed to have escapism. They hate Tolkien. Tolkien is such this pure world. It's not even like it's a world. It's a history. It's something unique in itself that they want to destroy because it is pure escapism. It is pure joy, it is pure good versus evil, and they want to end that. So they look at all things Tolkien with pure disdain and disgust.
Okay. But I would argue that neither franchise attempted to actually, they weren't aimed at the book audience. Both franchises were trying to grab the normie audience, because that's what Game of Thrones did. They're trying to replicate the success of Game of Thrones and get the normies on board. For instance, in Wheel of Time, they try to stick the identity of the Dragon Reborn in a mystery box. Anyone who's read the book knows who the Dragon Reborn is. It's not a mystery, but they tried to turn it into one because it was aimed at normies. Likewise, with trying to make the identity of Sauron a secret. Normies can figure that out lickety-split. Book readers can see it coming a mile away. So if you try to evaluate the shows based on whether or not they're able to captivate normies, I think Rings of Power failed harder because it's just boring. I mean, the first 5 episodes of Rings of Power, I wasn't outraged by the the changes in the lore breaking. I was just bored by it. There was these plot treadmills where they were completely allergic to plot progression. It was ridiculous. Episodes 4 through 6, at the end of episode 4, the Numenorians decide, oh, it's time to recruit people to go invade Middle Earth. Episode 5, oh, we're packing the ships. We're going to take these 3 ships to go invade Middle Earth. And then they finally you see the 3 ships leaving the harbor at the end of episode 5. In the middle of episode 6, they're still on the ships going to Middle Earth. It's like there's no plot progression at all. It was baffling to me how boring the plot was in Rings of Power. Now, Wheel of Time, as a normie, again, I knew it was laughably bad, but I was still looking forward to watching Adam and Salty Texas C roast the episodes after the fact. So there was entertainment value there that I did not get out of Rings of Power.
So-
Lady B, go.
Yeah, I just had a question, and this is for the Rings of Power people. Like, did the creators of that show go in with the same kind of intent statements as they did for Wheel of Prime, where they were saying that if you don't like what we do, we're going to make this even worse and destroy the characters and stuff like that?
Essentially, they were implying that they were making the story Tolkien never wrote. They were improving upon Tolkien. They were doing things that Tolkien never did. They had
accused
disdain for him.
the critics of racism for not liking their casting decisions.
Okay, that seems to be like a little bit more tame than what happened with Wheel of Time, because the people were just like straight up like, no, you're evil if you don't like this. And Rafe Judkins' like Twitter is just abomination. Like what he would say to people, it's just like, if I was the executive producer on that, I would have had words with that, because that's just really bad PR.
Rafe changed the magic system because he's a male feminist.
Well, that's
you
all.
can't even
Both
imagine
those
that
are
men
true.
and women are different, let alone the magic system might be different.
Well, what you just described is they both did the same thing. One, they both did the race swaps. It all opened with the race swaps.
Diversity shield.
Yeah, the
It's
diversity
deliberate.
shield, and the door through which all retconning and changing begins. That's my personal opinion. But they each did it in. They both attacked the fans. Well, I agree with Lady B. I think the Rafie Poo and his crew were a lot more. They were a lot worse. They were evil. Yeah, the marketing campaign for Rings of Power simply started off as "you're all racist," but Rafie Poo took it to the next level of specifically targeting people and taking it to the next level of angry soy boyism.
Because
he was outright antagonistic. I
knew nothing about Wheel of Time. I didn't watch the trailer or the show, so I'm taking this from the Rings of Power stance.
Mm-hmm.
Did they do what Rings of Power did, and after episode 1 release merch calling us all racist, showing that they've had that plan? They had that race card plan from the start.
No, but that's only because contractual issues have fucked Amazon on Wheel of Time merch, so they don't make any money from it. There's Dane, you used a phrase that I want to highlight, and I want to highlight it because I want to check it. People call it the race shield. I do not like that term because it implies that it's used defensively. It's not a shield. It's a race sword. It is used to attack. It is not used to defend a shield.
Well, I think what the plan is you deploy it initially, you go on the offensive, and then later on, if people decide to criticize other aspects of the show, that's where the shield comes in, right? Because they'll always harken back to the first thing. So when you do the casting announcements and then you go and look up what the actor or actress looks like, and if it doesn't match what the source material describes it as, people are going to get that clue in and they're going to get upset, and then they'll get turned around and criticized as being racist. And then it doesn't matter if the next thing you criticize is the poor writing or the lighting or the editing or the cinematography or changes to the plot. It all just goes back to that very first thing. Even if you were maybe okay with the gender swaps or the race swaps or whatever it was out of the gate, and you didn't mind that, too late. they basically were able to start the debate and make it all about the diversity. And yeah,
that's what it's an
insidious.
offensive maneuver. It isn't a defensive maneuver. They as a first shot in the war, not as a, saying that it's a race shield implies that, it was done with an intention of, defensiveness. And I don't think that's the case, because I think we made the announcement, and then within 30 minutes we launched the attack saying, racists are attacking our casting. And then, the Access Media associates that hang around, your Varieties, your Hollywood Reporters, they're already clued in. They already know that it's coming. They have the articles written. So I guess, either way, we're off topic, but Adam.
No, we're right on. No, we are right on topic, because we're fine, because my initial video, real quick, my first video on Wheel of Prime. See, I'm getting confused now. Wheel of Prime was the race swapping is a red flag, and the heat that I took.
Oh God, yeah.
I took the stands came out of nowhere saying, "What are you holding those books up? Just because you hold the books doesn't make you a fan." It's like, I just read the books, and I stayed at the beginning and think, I'm just a guy who read the books and I like them, and this feels wrong to me. But the amount of hate that I got, it's like so and so. This insert X show here. He was fine with it. Why are you so toxic and hate filled? What you're talking about is when they start these initial things, it gives the stands, the attack dogs, the license to then ravage all of us for having, dare I say, an original thought, original opinion.
Well, I think
Adam, sorry, Jocks. I think if we bring this back to a comparison between Wheel of Prime and Rings of Power, I don't think this is a separation. That both shows deployed the same offensive tactic, and I'll give that to Alex. It's a good point that calling it a shield is actually nice. It is actually malicious and the first salvo in what appears to be a war. But both programs did this. Mm-hmm. So I did some prep before this. I'm going to be making a video with Alex about how I feel Wheel of Prime was worse. But I kept my arguments down to how the shows were different and why I think that makes what they did to Wheel of Prime worse. And I've got 3 of them, which I can rattle off here if you guys will indulge me.
Go for it.
The first main difference is that what they did to Wheel of Prime was they corrupted an existing narrative. So Rings of Power comes from a source material, source books, appendices. It's a broad amount of history, but with that doesn't come specific scenes, a plot that needs to move from A to B to C to D in a logical order. Doesn't have the dialogue. What it was is it's a setting, but it's not the characters by and large, and it's not the plot. So what they did to Wheel of Prime was arguably worse because they had a blueprint that they could have followed. They could have followed the narrative, and they decided not to.
There's just more material for them to corrupt, honestly.
Yeah. The second difference, I would say, between the two shows is technical incompetence. Now, we can say that Rings of Power was technically incompetent. It had really stupid fight scenes. The pacing was slow.
Choreography's trash.
But everything you say about Rings of Power, you can point to something worse in Wheel of Prime.
I agree with you there.
We can count it up. We can make a scorecard, but I see Alex is trying to run the play scorecard in his head. But I mean, doing this rewatch for the last 6 months now or something, it's mind-boggling how much just terrible technical shit is in Wheel of Prime. And I haven't digested Rings of Power enough, and I really don't want to. But I'm utterly confident that from a technical level, Wheel of Prime has got Rings of Power beat. And then my third point that we've hinted at already, you guys, I think, are agreeing with me on this. I think there was actual malice in Wheel of Prime, whereas I'm not convinced that it was anything more than pure incompetence on the part of Payne and McKay and what they did to Tolkien. I don't think they were as nefarious as maybe Dermy was saying. I think they're just really stupid idiots. But Ragnar or Rafe there's actual evidence of him on Twitter behaving kind of like he's power hungry and he's going to make characters gay because he can. And then certain things, and I'll leave off with this, but they named an episode of Wheel of Prime Blood Calls Blood, which is actually a chapter from the second book, which events in that weren't covered in the first season. But what happens at the end of the chapter, Blood Calls Blood, is Lan imparts some wisdom to Randall Thor, our main character. And it's summed up in this beautiful line of, above all things, there's one rule for being a man. Whatever happens, face it on your feet. And in the episode of the show called Blood Calls Blood, they end it with Lan on his knees, crying and pinching his fucking nipples.
All right, so
that is malice. That's not incompetence. That's people who didn't like the strong male character, the stoic narrative that Lan represents, and they went out of their way to subvert it maliciously.
So, keeping on the malice move for a second, does anybody on the Rings of Power side have any evidence of real malice towards that? And to bring it up like this, Corey Castle for $10. Thank you again, Corey. Reading Critical Lives, J.R.R. Tolkien, there's been an agenda among literati to deliberately degrade his work since the 60s. Fascism adjacent, Istophobe, Rings of Power is an old plan, maybe the original. So building off of that, do you see what Corey's laying the framework? Is there equal malice to what Dane just described on the Rings of Power side?
I want to say
the argument that I would make in regards to that is I don't think either Judkins or Weber, and I say Lindsay Weber because Payne and McKay are just lapdogs. They
share a brain. They share a brain, and it's retarded.
Right, and they're foot soldiers.
Yeah,
Weber and Sulky are the minds behind that. I don't think either Weber or Judkins think of it as malice. I think they think of it as they think they're being benevolent. They think they are making something for all the poor gay kids that never had anything. That's what they.
Let me ask you this before I go to Wormy on that. Let me ask you this, because other Wormy want to say something. Do you think then they're also saying? Would you say then flatly they're doing it for the sake of their agenda and their narrative of like feminist bullshit with Guy Ladriel and all that kind of crap too? Then it's more about it. Yeah. It's not about the malice. It's not about malice for the product. It's about the agenda, the vehicle to use it to push their crap.
Yep, I think it's the exact same mindset that led to it. I think that Judkins was just allowed a little bit more freedom because nobody really was keeping that close of an eye on him. Is my reading of that situation. Whereas I don't think there was a single line of Rings of Power that did not go through 17 focus groups and eventually muddled and compacted and ground down into garbage.
All right, Jeremy and then Joxer, go.
So have a lot of thoughts going through. I think Corey basically lays it out. Like, again, they've been wanting to destroy this for years. They've hated this. Now, I do think maybe Lindsay Weber is thinking she is doing good by masculinizing Galadriel because she thinks, hey, let's show women being strong and independent, but you then degrade what Galadriel represented, that you can be strong and extremely feminine and be the representation of beauty as a fact, and yet you degrade that. So I wonder, I don't think they're doing it out of malice anymore, even though they do hate Rings of Power. They hate Tolkien with a passion. I think it's gotten to the point, though, that they don't realize they hate him.
I think, all right, let me try rephrasing that for you, at least the way I'm saying it. They hate what he represents, but it's not so much the content, it's what he represents. Clear dividing lines, clear definitions, because we know these people hate clear, concise definitions of things. They want everything to be nebulous. They want to be gray.
And also when you go into like their tactics, I think what we're also seeing is like Lindsay Weber probably has more tack on how she attacks the fans. She goes through the corporate media. She has merch to sell that calls us racist, things of that nature. While over on the Wheel of Time side, they just let him go free reign and do whatever that he wanted.
Okay.
So
that's what you're saying. Right. Joxer.
I just think when it comes to describing malice, I think the amount of character assassination that happened on Wheel of Time was several orders of magnitude worse. Like, part of it's just because in Rings of Power, only half the characters are canonical to begin with, so there's less character assassination to do. But when they turned the Identity of the Dragon Reborn into a mystery box, it truncated all the character development. Like, they're so busy trying to hide the Identity of the Dragon Reborn that there's, the main character is Randall Thor, and they hardly give him any character development. And then, so when the reveal comes, it's really anticlimactic. But even more so, like, they turned Moraine and Siwan into a lesbian couple, and for representation. But in the who can steal something? But in the books, that's very clearly never the case. Like, even the prequel book, the New Spring, they were not lovers. And the impression I always got of Moraine is she's more like a nun type character who is from a religious order. She was on a mission from God to find the Dragon Reborn, and beware anyone who gets in her way. Like, she was and wouldn't have time for personal relationships or wouldn't give them any credence. And so Rafe Judkins' feminism, male feminism at that, so warped his brain that like Alex said, he thinks he's making an improvement. He thinks he's making it better and updating it for the modern audience. But those updates utterly disgrace the source material to a degree that I don't think Rings of Power had.
All right, so
I'm not sure I disagree. I'm not. Oh, go ahead.
1 second. Dragon Lady, welcome back. Do you have anything you want to add?
Usually, whenever they do say they're gonna do things for a modern audience, that to me sends out red flags. And the last time that did that was when with Netflix, when they decided to do Jane Austen's Persuasion, and my reaction was, and it was never. It was never one of my favorite Austen novels anyway. But even I'm thinking there was no need for them to basically peed all over it.
That's a self-defeating proposition. You're going to update a historical piece? That makes no sense.
All right, so it seems the panel has reached the conclusion that there's malice on both sides in terms of direction, but the malice and the hate coming from Rafe Judkins seems a lot more potent in terms of wanting to change it, as opposed to those involved on Rings of Power. I mean, Payne and McKay, like I said, they share a brain, they're retarded, and they like to pretend they're fake fans. They're fake fans. They like to pretend they're so into Tolkien.
I think Rings of Power depended much more heavily on movie fans showing up. Like, there's so many member berries, so many movie references. Like, the reason why are the Harfoots in the story? Because movie fans will recognize the hobbits, whatever. So it's like, I think that
why is Steppen in Wheel of Time though?
Yeah.
See, I think what you guys are talking on is both of these. Amazon doesn't look at these things like how other productions look at TV shows. Amazon looks at these as products, and you make a product along an assembly line. And the same assembly line was used to make both of these products. The same Payne and McKay nonsense talking about elves and speaking Elvish and talking about how much they love the franchise. Rafe Judkins was doing that exact same thing. The pre-show stuff that they did was identical for both shows. Even down to their strategies on Reddit message controlling on Reddit.
You guys would know that the best right now.
Yeah.
You guys would know that the best.
So I think that's the other thing I think is I almost have to consider Wheel of Time, everything that they did poorly with Wheel of Time, almost as a sin of Rings of Power as well. because Wheel of Time was the test run for Rings of Power.
Yes.
Like,
Yes, it was. I agree on that completely.
So, if the prototype fails and kills somebody, I almost have to blame the prototype failing and killing somebody on the fault of the actual product, which also failed and killed somebody. So, does that make sense in a way?
Yeah.
All right, Lady B, you have your hand up.
Yeah, I had a question, and it's probably going to be more for Dane and Alex. And if you guys know this, like, as a filmmaker, I definitely have to say the technical aspects of filmmaking were way worse in Wheel of Time. And one thing that both of these shows had in common, strangely enough, is the wonderful talents of our favorite director, Wayne Yip. So, who do you guys think got it worse with the talents of Wayne Yip? Was it Wheel of Prime or Rings of Prime?
Well, I think Alex makes a good point in a number of our rewatches where we highlighted this point about direction. Is there, at the end of the day, there isn't a whole lot that the director is ultimately responsible for.
Yeah.
In these CGI heavy pieces of shit. Yeah.
Yeah, in part. But so the Wayne Yip episodes were, correct me if I'm wrong, Alex, they were 3 and 4 on Wheel of Prime. And there was overuse of, eerie, freaky cinematic transitions. There was a ridiculous shaky cam fight with bad rope work, some bad cuts here and there. That didn't really seem to manifest too much in Rings of Power.
Yeah, I
again,
kind of agree with you with that.
It was there, but it was also because it was filtered through the corporate focus groups. It was less so. Like it was still shit, but it was blander shit, if that makes sense.
As a director, I have to say there would be things in a TV show that a director could control, like in the episodes like that he did for Wheel of Prime. Like there's just technical problems, like they're filming like I think this is when Perrin and Egwene were walking looking like before they met up with the travelers, and there is some just technical problems with the time of day and like just issues with like tire tracks on the roads and where the sun is on the sky and stuff like that. And that was definitely worse in Wheel of Time than it was in Wheel of Primes. And in Wheel of Prime only got one, or Rings of Power only got one of those really awful transitions. So
let me just list off a couple of other things on the technical side of things, and let me know if you guys disagree. Costuming. Aes Sedai is supposed to wear dresses. They don't. They wear uniforms. White cloaks. They do wear dresses. And then
oh my god, color grading is not the thing you do to fix your lighting problems.
And the ultimate argument that I have on costuming is look at what they did to Loyal.
Yeah.
There's nothing that silly in Rings of Power.
True.
Costuming. What about the sets? So the ways look like something out of 90s Trek. Shatter Logoth is the exact same set that they use for Tar Valon.
Yep.
And the White Tower is 4 fucking rooms that they recycle over and over and over.
Yeah,
I don't want to comment on that, but real quick, a couple super chats here. Kale at R for $10. Thank you, Kale. What was done to both series are unforgivable desecrations, and neither will improve at all. Well, that says that all for that. And
he's probably right, unfortunately.
Corey Castle for another $5. Thank you, Corey. So generous tonight. Thank you so much. Wheel of Time writing is at least internally coherent. Can the panel tell me why Rings of Power Sister Elder? Okay. Big tits, Mickey. Okay, that's what we're talking about. Sisildur. Okay, I was trying to pronounce it out again. Sisildur was against the expedition. Why Kemet committed to sabotage?
I know.
I can tell you
one thing. Let me comment first on that. I would say that there was definitely more dialogue in Wheel of Prime, and what dialogue we got in Rings of Power was incoherent. It was definitely incoherent in Rings of Power. But what they tried to do in Wheel of Time felt like over justification of all the crap they were doing. All right, go ahead. Who was first? Wasn't looking.
I think we're probably gonna have the same thing, but Kemet did it because he wanted to get in Sister Doors.
Big Tits McGee. Big Tits McGee.
Yeah, that's the whole reason he was mesmerized by big tits. That's the whole reason. Now, why was she against it? I don't know.
We don't know. That is. I think we could say Rings of Power definitely was worse in the sense of the character development was nothing. Wheel of Time was horrible, but we knew why each of these retards was doing their retarded shit.
I don't know.
I know it's
Perrin Aybara may be the single most assassinated character I've ever seen on a television show.
It's a contest between him and Matt.
Matt was pretty badly assassinated. Not just him; his entire story was ravaged by a pack of Trollocs in that show.
Okay, but like Matt at least like tried. Said, "Oh, Matt wants to get back to take care of his sisters." Like, okay, sure, what the fuck? Like, I don't believe you.
Yeah.
But okay, we'll go with that. Perrin, they established that Perrin did not love his wife, and in fact loved Egwene.
Might be secretly gay for Rand.
Yeah, definitely secretly gay.
Okay.
No, he said he loved Rand in episode 8.
Married his wife despite not loving her. Killed her, albeit we think on accident. However, he feels guilty about having done it. And then we find out that Perrin was actively hitting on Egwene enough that both Nynaeve and his wife knew about it.
Yeah.
And was so in love with her and was so busy hitting on her that he didn't bother to get engaged with his wife until Rand got together with Egwene. Like, Perrin Aybara is an asshole. Like,
I'm not disagreeing.
No redeeming that character.
He was smart enough to talk.
He was trying to steal Rand's girl, his best friend.
Like, his wife was supposed to be pregnant
he was trying to steal Egwene's boy.
So it's definitely. I think it is safe to say though that to Corey's point, the Wheel of Time writing is coherent, but it's coherently retarded. They've spent so much time making it stupid that it hurts our brains. Whereas the Rings of Power, it seems it's also paper thin on Rings of Power that you're rolling your eyes, but it's just like, oh, not you're going like this. But with Wheel of Time, you're going, no.
Adam, I have to take issue with the internally coherentness of this because I got 3 examples off the top of my head. All right,
go for it.
So Moraine in one of the first scenes sees Leandrin extrajudiciously gentle that guy in the prologue.
Mm-hmm.
Logain.
And then not Logain, it's the
other guy. The guy who's with the illusions in the first part, yeah.
And then she goes to the White Tower in episode 6, and the big political drama is, what were you doing out there? And she completely forgets that she has Leandrin over a barrel. She saw Leandrin commit a crime. And she decides to blackmail him with a man in White Harbor. And part of it, I think Alex pointed out that the prologue was a reshoot. So they actually filmed that stupid scene later. And that's why it never came up in the Tower Politics scene. But that's a massive inconsistency. You have Swan sends Moraine to the Eye of the World because the Dark One is weak. And then all in the final 2 episodes, all they do is talk about how the Dark One's growing stronger. And the big one for me was when they finally reveal Rand is the dragon and they give him those flashbacks. Apparently he had that conversation with Tam on Winter Night, dragging him through the woods. So
which we wanted back in the beginning.
But Rand knew then that whole time that Tam wasn't his father, and he did not act like that was a thing. He completely forgot about it until he remembered it after, post-nut in episode 7.
All right.
So there is, if you know the story from the books, you're going to find so many plot inconsistencies that have been thrown up by these stupid little changes that they made to it. So it's
That's
not
why
a
I said
coherent
it
story.
makes a difference whether you're a book fan or not, whether you think one is worth.
You're not going to.
I don't think
hone
it's
in
a
on
book
it.
issue. I think it's a prisoner of the moment issue. We've all had a year to heal from Wheel of Time. There are plenty of there's plenty of nonsense in that plot that if you're not doing the rewatches with us,
sure. I had a question.
I'm not healing. I'm not healing at all.
I want to circle back to the technical proficiency. Like, which episode was it that had the Aiel Mama in her little fight scene in the prologue?
Placenta Snow. Nothing will ever be worse than that scene. Jeez.
Okay, so
God.
As goofy as it was, that was the best fight scene in that series.
It was.
The best fight scene in Rings of Power was Galadriel's little, show-off session with her.
And it wasn't.
It
wasn't. We spent 30 minutes breaking that down on how bad it was.
It was horrible. And so I think on a technical sense, I mean, Yip directed the Rings of Power fight scene, so it was incompetently done. Period. But the reasoning behind the Wheel of Time fight scene, she's doing all these acrobatics while she's having a baby. It's like while she's giving birth. It's so much sillier and so much. It's like, yeah, they're both poorly choreographed fight scenes, but the story justification is so much worse and more ridiculous in Wheel of Time. But for the most part, I agree. I still think that the character assassination is still worse in Wheel of Time overall.
Yeah, the thing I was gonna bring up is that I watched like 2.5 episodes of Wheel of Prime with my brother, and one thing that I found that's really hard when I'm doing my House of Dragon reviews is that it's really hard if you've read any of the source material at all to just forget that you've read it like in order to do it. And this is one thing I realized with my brother. It's like I knew the story of what should happen with like Rand when they're in Camelin and he goes to the library the library in the inn and meets Loyal. So in my mind I was like, oh, that's where he's at. But like when my brother watched that, he's like, where are they and stuff like that. And I found I had this same kind of experiences watching Rings of Power. So it's like really just, it's so hard to say like which is worse, because like we know what should happen and we know what to expect, but like honestly when I was watching Rings of Power, it's like I was so lost, and beyond the lostness, I was bored.
Well,
and
there's one point that you guys have all brought up repeatedly. I realize, and the both shows share it, because to Alex's point, one came before the other. One was the test subject. One was the precursor. A lot of rooms, a lot of quick shots of stuff, and a lot of things happening in rooms, hallways.
Yes, hallways are the real star of modern fantasy.
Yeah, a lot of walking and talking, a lot of feelings in hallways, and that leads to the lack of epicness feel. But to close out this point, though, I think Corey's gotten their $5 worth on this one, definitely from you guys. But
appreciate it, Corey. Could agree to disagree.
Okay, but hey, we're all
Sildor, at least she was cute, right?
We're all adults here. We're all regular nerds. That's why. See, it's just a difference of opinion. In the end, we're going to move on, but we all agree it all sucks.
We're trying to find out which sucked more.
Yeah, we're trying to say which is worse. Which is
whoever
worse
wins, which is worse, we all lose. So
yeah, well, I'm winning. I'm making money today. But no, I would say that in terms of the writing and that stuff, I feel as though more damage could be said to be done to Wheel of Time, because they took the time to so drastically change all these characters and everything in Rings of Power. I do not disagree with the point that the plan has always been to dismantle Tolkien, who is the foundation of everything. But everything in Rings of Power seems so flimsy, so thin. Yes. It's not deep. It's not thick. It's really, literally, I mean, I got crazy memory. I remember all this shit, and you guys have been rewatching Wheel of Time, so you're really remembering this shit.
The whole climax of the first season was they make the rings, and I still don't know why.
But my point is this, though: a lot of people are memory holding it from one week to the next.
Yeah,
I'm just an outlier because I've got partial photographic memory, and I remember shit in a really strange way. And you guys are really digging down on the Wheel of Prime because you've been rewatching it for a year.
Half a year.
Sorry for you.
Well, it feels like a year, I guess.
Hey,
but
Adam,
yeah.
I got a question for you. Maybe before you get get your stream of consciousness all the way there, but I think Draco in the chat makes up an interesting point, and I'm tying this back to how I saw the ratings for Wheel of Prime evolve over time. How kind of initially out of the gate there was a lot of hype. Well, a lot of people were giving it 5 stars just to kind of support it, but it was really kind of that 5th episode that really dropped it for a lot of people, and the finale just ended up cratering what everybody thought. Like the copium ran out, and I could see that in the show being like, okay, they're making changes, but don't worry, it'll course correct, it'll fix. But Rings of Power got fucking ridiculous on the first night when Galadriel jumps off the fucking boat and decides to be like Dory from Finding Nemo and just keeps swimming. And that's her whole
ridiculous when she fought the troll.
Don't forget
that's the moment it got ridiculous.
And then, as Pips pointed out, the troll disappeared.
Yeah,
that's an insult to Dory.
So it's kind of like people like the mask came off, I think, sooner for Rings of Power. People like knew it sucked right away, whereas people hung out a lot more hope, I think, for Wheel of Time.
I have an answer. Is that your
that could be,
question?
but like, does that make Rings of Power worse or better?
All right, let me try and answer that. I think I have an answer. Let's look at the two fan bases.
Yeah,
and
that's
what's
a good
going
place.
on.
I was gonna just bring that
Let's
up.
start with the fan bases.
Right there.
Rings of Power, we'll say Lord of the Rings fans. They got their wildest dreams already. They got the Peter Jackson trilogy.
Yeah.
They got it. They're happy. They never needed anything else.
Yeah.
And when Rings of Power was announced, everyone was going, okay, whatever. But then as the details came out, we saw the stuff, and then the attacks began, the Lord of the Rings fan base rallied as a single juggernaut and said, oh, hell no, we are unified in our disgust for this. When it came to Wheel of Time fans, and I've said this before, I've said it with you guys on streams, I'm on the record multiple times saying this. Their dream, they thought of Bonanza. They were getting an adaptation for their show, their story at last. It was going to happen. They've been begging for it forever. And goddamn, you toxic nerds, you better shut up. Don't you ruin this for us. Don't you tank this for us. This has to work. This has to be a success. If you say negative stuff, it's going to create a negative atmosphere and people are going to rag on it and tear it down and our show's going to get canceled and you're going to be to blame. We're never going to get our Wheel of Time show. So they developed the cognitive dissonance. At least some of them did. Some of them are maybe truly idiotic stands. I don't know. I've encountered plenty of them.
But even Shadiversity tried to bent over backwards to give this show a fair shake. But when he got to episode 5 with the Sad Warner,
I know, Sad Warner. But I was always gonna to Dane's point. As soon as they announced the race swaps, that was the first major red flag. And then they're announcing we're changing this story, that story, we're including this, that. It's too many red flags. I know it's gonna be bad. It's gonna suck from the get-go. And I made one video, my video that got me some of my first major traction before it started, and I said all the red flags in Wheel of Time, Amazon's Wheel of Time, and man, the hate I got for that. And then the show came out a week later, and the resurgence on that video of suddenly people coming in comments saying you were right, and I was ratioed to the gutter, and then we fought for weeks to pull me out of the negative ratio. In the end, I was in positive territory, but that's a difference. It's the fans. The Wheel of Time fans they can't handle the fact that they know when this fails, it could be another 20, 30 years before they get another shot.
Good.
When
Lady B.
Lord of the Rings. Oh, sorry. When Lord of the Rings, I knew it wasn't going to be great. The moment they announced it was going to be a TV series, I was thinking, no matter how much money you throw at it, it's still going to look bad on TV, no matter what studio it is. Unless you have a big Hollywood budget behind it, it's not going to work as a TV series. And I was absolutely spot on, even though I wasn't obviously thinking of all the stuff that they threw in with it at the time.
All right, Lady B, go.
Yeah, this is something interesting that I think comes in with like the demographics of the fandom of the two properties. Like Lord of the Rings has been around for a really long time, and because of its earlier movie adaptations, you have a much wider age range of the audience. And I think a lot of us that have been talking in our White Cloaks Discord, we've been noticing that we're all kind of about the same age. Like between like me and Dana and Alex are kind of the same age, and like we're people that like I didn't read the books in the 90s, but they did. And it's kind of all a certain age. And then I think like the people now that are liking the show, it's like they read the later, if they did read anything, it's like they're the Brandon Sanderson fans and they're the like more vocal, angry, like Gen Z, like Tumblr and Twitter and TikTok kids. And so like the vitriol that comes out is so much worse, and they're like willing to like rally around the whole racist, sexist isms kind of stuff, while Lord of the Rings has more of a wide age range. So like those voices, those younger kids that complain about this stuff, they're like a little bit like they can turn down the volume on those people because the older fans will come in where like a Wheel of Time didn't have that. What do you think about that, guys? Like you?
I think there's a great point to be made about the fan bases, and I think you all three of you have kind of made it, but
because
I think there's an additional level, which is Tolkien got big in the United States of America in 1964.
Yeah.
Like, we're talking about a generational identity. Like, a lot of the younger fans, their parents were reading Lord of the Rings to them. So it's a generational love. It's also somewhat of a national identity in the sense that the Americans love them some Tolkien to the point that it's almost a cultural point of pride. And then I think the other point is Tolkien fans in general are just old and crotchety. Like, Wheel of Time. Like, a lot of people got into Wheel of Time because it's like, oh, here's this positive, female friendly fantasy series, whereas the Tolkien fandom has none of that shit.
Get off my lawn.
Yeah,
it's like,
the fuck off
all right,
my
Dermy,
lawn.
go.
Sausage fest.
I have 2 points because we're dealing with the fan base thing here, and part of this actually bolsters the Wheel of Prime argument, and that was because of what happened to Wheel of Prime. People like Disprove, people like the White Cloaks, people like you guys became more prominent, more there, and then Disprove started talking about Rings of Power, and he said the only reason he did that was because of Wheel of Prime.
Yeah.
Secondly, quit hating on Gen Z. I'm right here. But when it comes to Tolkien, what happened with Tolkien was Tolkien created this world. Very unique, very different, very words I can't think right now. But throughout that, you became closer to Tolkien, and a lot of his fans held on to the idea that, hey, you need to protect Tolkien because Tolkien protected it for as long as he could. So when Christopher passed away, the fans stepped in to protect Tolkien's work. And when they see somebody take it and do a bastardization, whether that's The Hobbit, even because I have criticisms even of The Hobbit, fans come out in force and get pissed. So when the fans came out for Rings of Power, that wasn't just Rings of Power fans that spoke up. That was Wheel of Prime's fans coming out to defend something that they might not have a connection to, but they see the writing on the wall, and they're like, "We're not going to let this happen again."
There's a huge overlap between the two franchises. Yeah. I mean, most people who've read Wheel of Time have read Lord of the Rings and probably did it first. I know for me, C.S. Lewis and Tolkien, that's kind of where I got to start. Terry Brooks, David Eddings, and it actually took me till I was about 16 to start on Wheel of Time.
I did Eddings before I did Robert Jordan.
Yeah. Me too.
I mean, I just read Wheel of Time a few months ago.
She's a newbie.
I'm the newbie.
As far as if we want to differentiate, I think, between the fan bases, Alex made a really good point in that there is a lot of lefty stuff in Wheel of Time, right? It got its start with this has got a female Gandalf. It has a prominent role for women. Who would have known that? Only fast forward 30 years. Hey, Steve.
Hey.
Only fast forward 30 years, and all of a sudden, Robert Jordan isn't progressive enough.
Yeah,
the funny thing about this fucking show is, though, what they did is the accidental subversion, right? They shoot themselves in the foot constantly. This isn't analysis.
Both shows. I think both shows equally do that. But paint Guy Ladger to be this grand, awesome thing, but then they shoot in the foot. You realize they have these scenes where she's just the dumbest thing in the world.
It's so fucking. So here's a quick list of things that they did. Right. So Stepin seppukus himself after realizing getting bonded to save his life, he'd have to go gay.
Yeah,
you want to go gay? No,
gay.
Dead. Right? They undermine Aes Sedai power levels. They say Aes Sedai can win a fight here or there, and then they get chased through by the King of Gildan's people, and then end of the series, 5 untrained chicks destroy 10,000 Trollocs.
I know.
And he was in God mode at the end of that.
Yeah. All right, real quick. Welcome,
Black
Steve.
Wind tells the truth.
Prophet of the Dragon.
Hey, sorry I'm late, man.
No problem at all. We're happy to have you here. We were hoping you could make it. All right, why don't you dive in? Have you listened to anything we've said so far?
Well, to part of why I'm late is I just finally got off work, so I've been on overnights, and I actually fell asleep after a 12-hour shift on my couch.
Hey, man, nothing wrong with real world problems. Real world problems have to trump YouTube shit.
So tell me, Steve, what is worse, the wastewater treatment plant with all the shit in that, Rings of Power of Wheel of Prime?
Oh, I don't know. The plant was pretty bad last night. That's why I fell asleep. But so Adam, I haven't unfortunately I haven't got to hear anything. So
all right, I'll give you a quick rundown of where we are then. We've decided so far, and let's see where you weigh in on this. We decided that while there is malice on both sides from the production crews, I think in the end the panel agreed that the Wheel of Prime malice was higher because of Rafe and certain things, whereas the Rings of Power side, there was malice there, but it's more of a malice towards Tolkien and not the work itself. And they're all more interested in really getting their agenda in there as a vehicle, while Rafey was all about really just turning into shit for his own purposes. So where do you come down on that?
I think that's exactly right. I mean, Rafe a million times. At least the two clowns that ran the Rings of Power show pretended to want to please the fans and interact with the fans, even though it was a bold-faced lie. But Rafe, some of the things that he said is just amazing to me that this dude still has a job when you can interact and say, I'm just, the more you complain about this, I'm going to turn these guys gay, or, just outright the fights he gets in with people on social media about this stuff, just out. And then he follows through. That's the other thing. He follows through and does what he says. So I think that's 100% right. I think there's way more malice when it comes to the actual production with Wheel of Time, because, I mean, the showrunner's out there being like a dickhead. I mean, at least the other two guys, maybe they're just, I don't know, idiots. I don't know how. It doesn't. I don't feel. I don't.
They are idiots.
I hate them. I hate them because what I watched with my eyes, but I don't feel like they did it on purpose. Is that? I mean, even though they did it on purpose, I don't. You know what I mean?
It's different because it's something about bad reboot. We know that they're all idiots and they will trash everything, but they're doing it just to get more powerful in Hollywood, not because they get off on it. There's a distinct feeling that Rafe is getting off on what.
Oh, he's absolutely getting. No, that's exactly.
I know. Do you guys remember what they talked about, the little girl that sees the Shantan chips coming in, and it's like this? They literally cause a tidal wave and kill this innocent child on the beach. And what did they say about that, Dave? Do you remember? It was horrible.
Fuck that little girl.
Yeah, that's literally what he said on his Twitter.
No. So I want to raise a quick point. This is going back to the subreddit on White Cloaks, but right around the middle of this, people started looking back at not just what Robert Jordan wrote in his story, but also he gave a lot of interviews, and there was one in particular where he talked about fan fiction, and towards the end of it, he notes that the one thing he really hates and can't abide is the KS / erotica fan fiction that uses his characters. Right? Uses his characters. And he says, for regular fan fiction, there's not a whole lot he can do legally. If someone wants to write a completely separate story, but take inspiration from his world.
And generally a good fanfic writer will say, none of this belongs to me. I have no rights. And they say, I always have a disclaimer in front of all my fanfics. I put a big ass disclaimer saying, I don't own this. I am not doing this. I'm just doing this for fun.
Yeah.
That's what I always said.
But he was very protective about his characters more so than he was about his world. And he was basically saying, if I find out that you are making erotica using my characters, I will come down like the hammer of God on you.
They'll fire that shit.
And then we get the leaked script, the first draft or whatever from Rafe Judkins. And in it, there is a grotesque scene with Rand finger banging Egwene. Yep. And it immediately led to speculation on our Reddit that Rafe was probably one of those people who in 2002 was trying to publish erotica fanfic of Wheel of Time on the internet. Yeah. And Robert Jordan came down on him. And this is now living out the grudge.
Wow.
That's how much malice we actually felt. And that was a believable story, because what else could motivate somebody to do this to
This
Robert
is a great
Jordan's
window. Hey, Joxer was, and then I'll go to Joxer. This is a great window because Corey Castle, another $5 from Corey Castle. This, I think, zeroes right into this topic here. Why is it that neither Rand nor Matt can fight? Rand should be good with a sword. Matt should be serious, badass with a staff. What the fuck why the fuck aren't they? And right
season
there.
2,
So I'm gonna
Nynaeve's getting sword training.
So we're gonna ask.
Wait,
we'll
the
go to that.
only time Rand ever successfully uses his sword is to kill himself.
Yeah. All right. So real quick, Joxer, say that, and then I'm going to ask a panel the question.
I just wanted to go back to the generation gap that Dermy and Lady B were talking about. I think Dermy has a point in that the Lord of the Rings fandom has a history of gatekeeping that the Wheel of Time fandom doesn't have.
Yes, that's good too.
And it started by Tolkien himself.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas whatever his merits are, Jordan just didn't have that same gatekeeping mindset to ward off all the posers. And to Lady B's point about the generation gap, remember what a disaster those super fan events were? That was trying to get the Gen Zers on board with, we can, I hope, we hope Sauron is hot so we can fix it.
Yeah, I mean, and
I'll fix Sauron,
Jeremy can appreciate this. That gave us one of the greatest memes ever of the dude peeing off to the side.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was you guys ran with that for a long ass time.
meme.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
I
sorry.
think Wheel of Time has a problem too, where it's like House of the Dragon. It's like it's not like an overly feminist work or anything like that, but there's just enough seeds there that anyone that wanted to go to make an agenda-driven piece could like say, well, it's in the like source works, and you're like,
What's the twisting and perversion of certain things to try and get your point across, which is what all good commies do. Now,
and also
subversion, like Yuri Bezmenov talked about.
Go back to like the gatekeeping. Tolkien almost, I can't remember the term, separated himself entirely from Lord of the Rings the moment he found out hippies were having hobbit weddings.
Yeah.
The moment he found that out, he almost said, I'm done. This world is over. I'm torching it. Goodbye.
all right, now, so Corey brings up this great point here. And here's my question off of Corey's super chat. Again, that $5 is going to spawn us down a good road here. I feel it. So both these shows hate men.
Yes.
Both these shows hate men.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Which one hates them more?
From what I'm hearing, Wheel of Time.
All right, let's go with Steve since he's fresh off the boat here. Go.
So sorry not to jump right in here running, but I don't know that Rafe hates men more than he just ignores them and wants the women to be the main characters. So
that's an interesting way to go.
Like it's one of those, because I mean he obviously hates men, but not nearly as I don't know. It's one of those things where it's just like it was very clear from the very beginning of Wheel of Time that obviously Moraine instead of Rand is the main character of the show.
Yes, we knew that immediately. The initial promotional material, Edo said, watch as Moraine, and Aes Sedai is on her journey, this and that, with the 5 people. It's like, why are you talking about her first?
Right. And then on top of it, they laid so much foundation to now they're going to shift. They're slowly going to shift from her being the main character to Egwene. It's so clear as day that Egwene is who they want to be the main character of the show. Just from the Comic-Con panel and all that stuff. How much they talked about Egwene. The Comic-Con panel, they didn't say Rand once in the whole freaking hour and all the teasers and all that. The Comic-Con panel, all the actors and actresses, the actor for Rand wasn't there, so maybe he wised up. They didn't say Rand's name once. So I think it's more I know they hate him, but I think it's just like they just decided that they wanted to ignore him and just make the girls the leaders because, well, girl power or some BS, right?
There's actually some destruction of the males in that. I mean, look what they did to like Matt's dad. Like, I like Wheel of Time because there's like good fathers and like. In the source material, and what do? Like, Matt's dad is like an absolute degenerate, like drunken, womanizing piece of crap.
The best father figure that they have in Wheel of Prime is the one-handed black guy who sends his daughter up the fucking 3,000-mile river.
I know, and at least the Rings of freaking Prime has Adar and his orcs, and I will defend Adar.
Oh no! Back with the Adar lust. Keep your Adar lust in control. This is the family show.
I know.
So people
but
are going to talk about
Family Show.
He cared that
so I
he
shouldn't do
blew up
this.
the mountain so they wouldn't get sunburned anymore. He cared.
But both of these shows denigrate their male characters to elevate the female ones. Like they
Yes,
did with
always.
Okay.
But in Wheel of Time, I just think they take it to such an extreme that they can't tell a coherent story. Like in season 2, they introduced the Shan-Chan, so there better be an epic sword battle between Rand and the San-Chan general.
That's not going to happen.
His fingernails are too long.
They're not
Never gonna
doing.
happen.
They're not doing Great Hunt. They're not doing Great Hunt. They're taking parts of the remaining parts of Eye of the World, certain parts of Great Hunt, and then they're taking parts of Dragon Reborn and they're Frankensteining it up.
Yeah.
Yep. Alex, you wanted to say something, bud.
Go, Alex. Go.
Okay. Here's why Wheel of Time isn't as bad as Rings of Power when it comes to the fighting. They're babies in Eye of the World. They're just getting into it. Gil-galad and Elendil right now are badass motherfuckers.
Supposed to be.
Gil-galad and Elendil teamed up and killed Sauron with the ring on his goddamn finger.
Wait,
Those
who are
were
these?
the dudes.
Yep.
Who are
So
these guys? No. Sorry.
I haven't seen these guys anywhere.
I don't know who you're talking about. Rings of Power.
He's just a petty lord.
I don't know who these two guys you're talking about are. They were in the Rings of Power?
Yeah, so it is one thing to degrade, baby Rand and baby Matt. It would be a brand new topic in discussion to degrade, a memory of light, Matt and Rand.
Right.
And that's what Rings of Power is doing. Like, I mean, when you get into some of the first and second age shit, like, I was just reading History of Middle Earth the other day. Icthalion kills 4 Balrogs in a day, and the only reason that he dies is because his fucking sword melts because he's killed so many fucking Balrogs. Like, that is who is supposed to be in this first and second age.
I thought nature was the Balrog's arch enemy. Leaves.
Right?
Arch enemy of Balrogs are leaves and trees.
that
They
leaf.
hate them.
Fuck that girl on the beach.
So mad. Sorry.
So I guess that's why when I look at them not being able to fight, like, I can lie to myself and say, it's fine. Lan is going to teach them in season 2 or 3. Like, that's fine. There's no excuse for Rings of Power. Like, these guys are
Excellent
supposed
point.
to be there.
But Guy
What they
Ladriel's
did
the
to
greatest one
Elendil.
ever. Guy Ladriel, Warrior
Guy
Princess.
Ladriel.
Oh,
Okay,
I'm
I have
tired of her. Of him.
I have a question. What do you
Yes.
guys think it's worth? The Oath Rod dildo or like Galadriel's dick dagger?
Dick Dagger.
I'm gonna have to go Dick
All right,
Dagger.
I'm
I
gonna
don't
go
know what this dildo
I
is.
gotta go
Now, the
Dick
Dick
Dagger.
The Dick Dagger's
Is it a
gone.
dick dagger, or is it just because we thought she stored it in her prison wallet?
No, it's Dick Dagger because she
No,
takes her brother's dick. It's her brother's dick.
Oh,
It's
Okay.
very
So we-
symbolic.
And I say worse. Dick Dagger is worse because they had the gall, the unmitigated gall, to make it a part of the ring.
That's it right there.
Yep.
That's it right there. 100%.
That's awful.
I thought
That's
the
exactly
Oath
what I
Rod,
was going to say.
which got melted into one big sludge
Yeah.
and produced
It's
one,
like
one
we're all-
silver ring and 2 gold ones.
We're all sitting there waiting
Kind
for
of like
it.
Bronwyn and the Black Elf.
No. All right. Well, she's
I
a girl.
thought
She
the
can say
Oath
that.
Rod. I thought the Oath Rod was worse because the Oath Rod is actually a really important artifact in the story later on. It's like, and they didn't even explain what it did or what it was for, other than it made it
Misused
cemented. I don't know, the lesbian couples.
Their gay love for each other.
yeah.
Yes.
And
Yeah, you know what? I
the
have
fourth
my feelings-
oath, the fourth oath of loyalty type stuff. That was a big fucking deal.
Yeah, it's a huge
Yeah,
deal.
I'm gonna say like as for like a symbolic,
huge,
visual representation, the Oath Rod was worse because they did so many scene staging and cinematography with it where it was like specifically looked like 2 women using a dildo. Like
Yes.
it was so wrong. I'm like, who would stage this way?
As
And-
opposed to
That's what they
Galadriel
even called
continually
it.
gripping the dagger at either her waist or Halbrand's, like,
Dude,
both
really?
It was
these
worse.
Look.
It was just straight up like she's holding it and she's
Dude.
on her knees and like Siobhan has it in her lap and she's like gonna I would even do it on camera because it's so gross. But like the dick dagger, it's like grabbing it is one thing, but like that. But symbolically in the story, I'm gonna say the
Galadriel
dick dagger.
basically did this.
Well, but
with the dagger.
Rosamund Pike, they called it a dildo on set. They were calling the oath rod a dildo.
Really?
Yes.
She actually called it that in an interview.
Yes.
Rosamund Pike said, "Oh, and now I have to do this scene.
It's a
and I'm
phallic
basically clasping a dildo."
All right. It looks like Dick Dagger wins. The chat is with us on that. Chat saying Dick Dagger.
The Dick Dagger's
Because
worse
you
for
also
exactly the reason you said. I agree with it. The oath rod is bad, but the fact that it became a main plot point, that whole dagger, it's like, if you were paying attention, you would have known. It's like, fuck you.
It's like trying to tell me that the LGBT 1000 from Solo, a Star Wars story, is a part of the Millennium Falcon forever. No, fuck you. Doesn't exist. Just it's the same thing saying Galadriel's dick is inside the rings forever. It's the same thing. No, that's worse. So Dick Dagger.
Galadriel's brother's stolen dick.
Stolen valor.
But all right, so I like Alex's point on Rings of Power's treatment of men. I feel like they really denigrate those men words because there's that one scene where it's there's a tempest inside me scene. Right before that happens, where Elendil says something and Muriel just gives him look, shut up, white boy look, and says, I'm a petty lord. It's like, it's just, they do him so dirty in this show. And yeah, the Wheel of Time, the fake versions of Rand, Matt, and Perrin are done horribly, and Lan is turned into a whiny crybaby man. But it's just I know
he's great. He's great at kata though. He does a mean kata with his shirt off.
That's bad, but that's mocking. But when it comes to insulting the characters that have their legends, like Gil-galad and Elendil.
But Adam, I would put Lan in Eye of the World. So Alex's point was great to like Baby Rand and Baby Matt, but Lan specifically, he's as badass in the Eye of the World as he is in A Memory of Light.
Oh, yeah.
But he reached the apex.
But if you
He's
take
like the
out
Aragorn character,
if you have just Lon, and then you have Elendil, Gil-galad, then you have to add in Femrod, and then let's screw with the dwarves. There's
Elrond was a fucking warrior too, and they turned him into a fucking loser diplomat. Like,
I think it sounds like, just because I'm far from a Tolkien expert, but the sheer amount of men they destroy. I mean, Sauron's even messed up.
Write this. I mean, what this epitomizes the disrespect of men in the show.
Who is that?
Commander of the Northern Armies. Calafia.
Commander of the Northern Armies.
Why did you say it again?
Flippy tricks. Can I get some more flippy tricks?
Look at you see that shit, and there was bad shit on time, but I see that, I'm just going, my God. I'm more outraged at that just because these soy boys are sitting there going, oh, it's Galadriel, and badass teenage mustache Theo's going to be masturbating 10 hours later.
Rondir is such an idiot. He is such an idiot too. It's like, oh my God, the one guy that gives some screen time's a moron, and just
every single warder though. So that maybe as a counterpoint, if we recall from like episode 5, the warders in Wheel of Prime. All of them had sob stories to say that they were nothing without their Aes Sedai.
Yeah, right? That was
so Stepan, who didn't want to go gay or whatnot, but he's basically saying like, my father beat me. I was a drunk, just trying to get in fights. I was nothing.
So bad.
And then Karenni, she was already powerful, but she wanted me. I told her no, but she wouldn't have it any other way. I was nothing without her. Lan fucking says the same shit to Egwene or to Moron up in Faldara, right? Let's just take all of Lan's backstory about being, king of Malkir, raised from the cradle with a sword in his hand to hunt the Blight. Nope, I was nothing without you. You gave me everything. And
real quick, guys, real quick. Dragon Lady has got to leave us. Dragon Lady, thank you for being here. Thank you for coming back.
Dragon Lady.
Anything you want to promote on the way out today? Anything you want to run on the way out today?
Not that I'm aware of, unfortunately.
All right. Well, thank you for being here as a member of the regular roundtable. Thanks for being here. We'll see you next week, Dragon Lady.
Yeah, thank you.
Take care.
Night.
Yeah. Night.
All right, Joxer, you had your hand up. Go.
Remember also the red Aja gal who was trying to commiserate with Nynaeve about, oh, isn't it just horrible? We have to live in a world controlled by men.
Yeah.
And she's an Aja standing in the White Tower.
And in the same episode, the Amerlin seat basically goes on a tyrannical rant saying, "This is my tower, my island, my world."
Yeah, well, it's a whatever.
Whatever they say to Loghain too,
the
right?
strongest matriarch on the world is a female queen that is the queen of the largest nation in the world. So, like,
it's like, how desperate are they to maintain this narrative that men bad? I mean, good lord.
I know.
Yeah,
but I feel like I want to give it to Rings of Power on this one, just because of the volume,
sheer volume. Maybe
what they did to the dwarves, what they did to
and the
Elendil,
dwarves,
what they did to Gil-galad,
yeah,
what they did to Elrond.
You know what? I think both
didn't
shows
care.
do a really horrible, like a good. I don't know if you call it a good job, but like they are both like incredibly damaging just to the idea of women and what it means to be a woman. And I hate this so much as a woman that is like, I've been a female race car driver. I have experienced legitimate sexism. I am not a feminist, and I have in my like older and wiser years come to see the value of things like having children, taking care of your family, and being strong in ways that these people don't seem to understand. And I absolutely hate what both these shows do with the idea of what they think being a woman should be.
Yeah.
They
Which is
find
becoming
no
a man.
like no
It's
nobility
race
in
view-
taking
race-
care of other
Mm-hmm.
people.
Race
No
view,
using
yeah.
your own like female, like the things that women are tend to be better at than men because their strengths are different and stuff like that. Like the things like the original characters in Lord of the Rings and how they use their different like capabilities differently. Like I know, like, in like Rule of Time, it's like a lot of the Aes Sedais are like negotiators and stuff like that. And God, I can't think of it. It's like when
Well, Lady B, here's
Yeah.
a really great part of the gendered magic system as it is in Wheel of Time. It's stated that men are stronger in the power than women to about the same extent that they are physically. So yes, occasionally you might have an Aes Sedai or a female Aes Sedai that's stronger than a male Aes Sedai, but it generally goes the other way. But women are better, more dexterous at handling multiple weaves.
yeah.
To the point that it's actually a balancing part of the equation. So Asmodean, the male Forsaken, is much stronger in the power than Lanfear, even though Lanfear is as powerful as a female Aes Sedai can get. But who shields who?
Yeah, Lanfear does it.
And that's the strength of the women. And that goes back to what is a female quality in multitasking. And that's what Robert Jordan was going for. The men, they throw a weave, but it's not complex. It's not sophisticated and whatnot. It's raw power. Whereas the women are basically able to handle multiple weaves at once. And it actually balances out. And it mirrors how men and women actually are in real life, which is men are physically stronger and single-minded, whereas women are much more capable at multitasking.
It's like
much more capable of intricacy.
Yeah, she becomes really into like healing, and she's a healer, and it's like you should have Galadriel doing that, and Arwen and stuff, and you don't see that. It's like you get like the dumbest stuff, and it's like, why? It just hurts me so much as a woman to see them denigrate that, because not every woman can do what these wants. And no, I don't even think women should, because like these women characters are awful. They're bad people. They wouldn't be good if they were guys.
They should be what the men are fighting for.
Exactly. And then it's like, what are we teaching our girls when they see this? It's like looking at Galadriel, like her whole story arc on the Rings of Power is that she's gone on this power trip Like, she's basically mute. She's been mutinied against. She's gone against the orders, and she's just out on this vengeance trip for her brother. Which actually, as you watch the story progress, it's like more about her own personal like enrichment. They send her away to be exiled. She leaves her exile. Like, there's no repercussions for that at all. And
Well,
then
They
she's
send
the
her
one
to
that ends up
heaven.
causing everything.
Well, I mean, Galadriel's a perfect example. If you don't do what you're told, you can destroy the world by releasing a gigantic evil monster on it. So, since everything is her fault, it's like
Just keep swimming. Just keep swimming.
If you just went to Valinor, Middle Earth is fine, but you had to stick your nose in and Halbrand,
Yeah,
and you caused
exactly.
everything. So, but yeah.
All right, let me ask this then. In terms of intended storytelling desires, where they want you to go with it, how they trying to steer you to feel about certain things. Which one has done more damage in terms of destroying? How can I put this right? Because where I'm going to go with this, in terms of getting you to the point where you're supposed to feel a certain way. My best example is, I'm going to use it. I feel Rings of Power is such a complete disaster where you want to see the Harfoots all burned alive to one.
Yeah.
And we're all
Terrible
walking around
people.
going, we're Team Sauron. Sauron did nothing wrong. Lady Balefire is starting a fan club about Adar worship. So, I mean, how bad can you be when you're cheering for the bad guys?
I don't even know who the bad
I'm
guy in the
rooting
Wheel
for
of-
whoa genocide. The Harfoot genocide. I'm literally.
I know,
rooting
me
for
too.
that.
Like, whoever just swipes him out.
Yes.
I don't know, man. But come on, when the White Cloaks started punching the shit out of the Tinkers, you're telling me you guys weren't clapping too?
Well, Tinkers deserve to be punched in the face either way.
Or like
But the White Cloaks
when
would
he
have done
comes
that,
up and he's
though.
basically like, we just like I did all this stuff, and you're like, yeah, go Loghain, like kill everyone.
Well, the
Take
White
that
Cloaks
fucking pacifist.
I see. That's the thing, though. I think the White Cloaks actually would have done that. I think they would have rode down right through those Tinkerers and do what they
White
wanted.
Cloaks are cool.
I think the biggest problem is
Because
like,
they saw a parent twice.
yeah. But I mean, like the villain in Wheel of Time. Who's the villain?
It's nebulous
Like, we don't
at
even,
this point.
We don't even freaking. They're trying first. See, that's the thing. They don't know who their villain is. So it's
Even the
like,
dark
how
one-
am I supposed
even
to
the
feel?
dark one that they introduced isn't actually the dark one.
No, he's not.
That's true of the books, but
But they did a horrible version of it.
You're confused. It's like it's just confused. Even people that should know that's supposed. It's not Ishmael. It's not Balzamon. It's definitely not the dark one. It's like you don't even know like who is like. So what is it? And then they don't even know. They're trying to build up the White Cloaks as bad guys, but they're not. They're just they have their own ideas about how things should
They're just
run.
misguided zealots.
Now
there's
trying
one
they're
dark
trying
friend
to
in the
do the Sean Chan are now going to be the villains in the next, and they're not really villains. They're just everything's more prosperous where the Sean Chan go. But it's just like I don't know how to feel about a lot of what's going on in Wheel of Time because I don't even know what they're fighting.
Well, here's the fucked up thing. So there's one dark friend that you meet in Wheel Prime, right? It's Dana the barmaid, dark
Tumblr
friend.
barmaid.
And
Who
they
runs?
wrote her-
Oh, I'm running after you.
And they wrote her as a sympathetic character. And that's the real problem is the people who are running the show, they actually identify more with dark friends than anybody else in the series.
She's got the weirdest stride, that Dana chick.
What was the drilling of the boar and the release of the dark one? What were they actually after? It was a power that wasn't bifurcated by gender. That's what they were after.
What's the boar?
And who dug it? Who went into that power?
Who was the
thing?
one in charge of that?
Bidaman and Miran Sedai, aka Lanfear. So those were the two. They were working together. But that was their appeal. It's like, oh, here's this apparent other power that, and imagine what we could do if we were using the same thing.
Rings of Power has a similar issue with they expect you to be sympathetic to the orcs. They expect you to be sympathetic with Adar.
Good point.
I got a Reddit notification last week, and the topic was, do the orcs deserve a homeland? I mean, that's the level of discourse we've got going on Reddit. You guys are probably lucky you got...
I feel like yes, just because they're the only people that you can care about in that. It's like it was like, I think when I talked about this on my White Cloaks rewatch, it's like Logain is like set up to be a kind of foil for Rand in the story, and it's kind of like you just see all of the alleged bad things that could happen with male people who can channel in Logain. Like, this is the cautionary tale, and it's like what ends up happening in the show is the same thing that happens to Adar. He becomes like a total sympathetic character, and you're like, he's the one that's standing up for people. He's the one standing up against the Aes Sedai and fighting for like freedom and stuff like that. So like he gives this speech, and you're like, yeah, this guy should be the hero. And then the same thing with Adar. It's like he's the only one that literally cares about the orcs, unlike say Bronwyn, who does a lot of stupid crap to get everyone killed. Yeah. Doesn't make a lot of wise decisions. And then you have Adar, and then you think, oh, he wants to take care of the orcs. He actually did that with the mountain. And totally that's just me making conjectures about why any of that shit happened with the volcano and all the Cheetos dust. And you're like, that's the only justification I could find it. And the reality is that it just made me like those characters more because they cared, unlike the Harfoots, which are genocidal like Death Cult. So
one thing I'll admit is if I was actually a geologist, I think I would hate Rings of Power more because that fucking volcano.
I mean, yeah, it's just
that gave me freaking
just the amount of crap that had to happen for that volcano to all the trap doors, and it's like, what the hell? Like
none of it. I mean, but to the original point of this point, it's clear. I think that Rings of Power is much worse in this aspect in terms of trying to the misdirect. They want us to love Galadriel, but we hate her. They want us to love Harfoots, but we hate them. Yeah. We're all Team Sauron. There's an article I found. Did I save it or not? Of where it said, yeah, here we go. Yeah, check this out. This is ridiculous right here, where you've got Vickers, Charlie Vickers, the guy who's playing our hero Sauron, where he's wondering if will people hope viewers will root for Sauron. Hey, idiot! We're all already rooting for you.
Yeah, we are all on Team Sauron.
We're all Team Sauron. We all know that this warped version of Middle Earth needs its benevolent overlord. It needs it.
Literally, Sauron is the hero. He was ruined by some Karen, so now I'm rooting for him. Burn it all down. I don't care.
Yeah, so it's I would say that Rings of Power wins the "we effed up more" award in that aspect, where we're all rooting for the villain, as opposed to Wheel of Prime. I keep wanting to say certain things. Wheel of Prime. We're confused. We hate all these characters, but we hate them because they're bastardizations. We're not rooting for anybody.
Who knows what's even going on? It's like, who is the bad guy? I don't even know who this is.
Other than the patriarchy, we don't know.
Yeah, so I think Rings of Power wins that one handily. But now Dane brought that up. Let's look at between Lady B and Dane and a couple of other. There are some. Who wins the moments of supreme stupidity? Because Pyroclastic Wave.
Oh man, that's you're
gonna
have to get a
camera.
camera.
Don't sink my ferry. My son's over there. I gotta go get my son.
You'd almost have to get a count from the start of each season because stupid moments are off the chart.
I think they're probably equal in terms of
taking a volcano to the face.
No. Everybody's okay. More per episode.
The thing about Rings of Power is that 6 of the 8 episodes of Rings of Power end with divine intervention. Like, as in, something ends positively for our main characters that they had nothing to do with. Like, it magically worked out for them. She finds a raft. She finds a boat. Sauron lets Adar walk away. The petals fall off the tree. The volcano doesn't kill them. And then Sauron doesn't leave her to drown. So when there is so little sense of cause and effect that, I mean, the events don't even track. And the 2 episodes that don't end with divine intervention, they end in the same spot. Episode 7 and episode 6 both ended with the volcano just wiping them out. And then 4 and 5, they both end getting ready to go to Middle Earth. So the only episodes that don't end with divine intervention are the episodes that end in the same spot that divine intervention had them at. So, I mean, it's almost impossible to say what's stupid, because swimming across an ocean is easily the stupidest thing anybody has done in either of these shows.
Then the stroll between the elf.
That was my next point.
And the
You're gonna add in teleportation.
Yeah, Westeros Express, full
fast travel.
Like,
fast travel is everywhere.
Well, and you know they didn't even think about it when you see them walking away with that giant table.
I know.
They don't even think about it. They're walking that giant table back to Khazad-dûm, right? They're walking it. It's just like, dude, do you know how far away that is and how long? Like, you're never gonna make it. You're
the
not.
5-night ride
This is
from the
because Rings of Power,
Southlands.
Rings of Power didn't have a narrative to go from. So issues like what Alex is pointing out, like, yeah, you can say what you want, but Wheel of Time had a narrative. They had a map to go through, and they followed it poorly, but they still tried to follow it. They diverted for 3 episodes where they kind of invented their own shit. But let's take, so on one side, you get a completely incoherent story that's written by idiots, which is Rings of Power. But on the other side, you have the desecration of an existing work and just the mind-boggling realization that they had a good story that they could have followed, like it was already written for you, and they decided to ignore it. So what's dumber, right? The guy who's incompetent and can't make a good story, or the guy who obviously can't read because there is a good story and they decided to do something else?
I agree with Dan.
So, Dan, I'm going to pose the question. What's worse, 3 episodes of bad fan fiction or 8 episodes of bad fan fiction?
I just think to Dane's point, the reason I found as a newbie, as a normie watching Wheel of Time for the first time, the reason I found it got at least some entertainment value out of it is because they were adapting a novel. They had to advance the plot whether they wanted to or not, just to get to the second book. Whereas because they're just making up their own thing in Wheels of Power, in
Wheels of Power. There we go.
That's a show I watched.
Wheels of Power, because they're making it up as they went. Like I said, there was these narrative treadmills, these narrative hamster wheels where nothing happened, and I was just so much bored by it than I was.
True. But to Alex's earlier question about 8 versus 3, I think that's a false equivalency, because it's I agree. It's 3 episodes of fanfic versus 8, but it's 3 plus 5 of desecration.
Yes, that's my feeling on it.
And it's really, and I noted this on the rewatch too. It's the episodes 1, 2, 3, 7, and 8. Those are the ones that pain me a hell of a lot more. Like I laughed a hell of a lot more in 4, 5, 6 because they basically it wasn't the story that I liked getting ruined. It didn't hurt me as much.
Yeah,
but 1, 2, 3, 7, and 8, I
Rings of Power didn't offend me. It bored me.
Yeah.
Wheel of Time, now that I've read the books, Wheel of Time actually pisses me off.
Josh just brought up a great thing that may be one of the deciding factors as we steer towards the end of this. Offense versus boredom. I admit, I was way more offended with Wheel of Time than Rings of Power. Rings of Power, I rolled my eyes. I never laughed through any episode of Wheel of Time. I was always raging at some point. There were episodes of Rings of Power where I just laughed my way through it. It was so bad. I was like, oh, this is so bad. I'm going to rip on this in my review.
I mean, who didn't laugh when Galadriel jumped off the boat and decided to swim the ocean?
Just keep swimming. Just keep swimming.
I screamed at
it's like, you're in the middle of a freaking ocean, lady, right? By yourself. You're done.
And then she admits swimming across the ocean was her plan, and she was going to die if she didn't find a raft.
And we just have to keep swimming. That conversation. We're just gonna keep swimming because that's what we have to do to survive. Huh?
You know what the real tragedy of this stuff is? And I know that like you guys will probably agree with me on this, but like, you know, knowing at the film world and being kind of like working in that, it's just like Lord of the Rings got like a bunch. There's like 3 really good movies, 3 kind of okay movies, but like Wheel of Time has had nothing. And this show has poisoned the IP, the critical reception, the amount of money they spent on it, what they did with it. No one in Hollywood is going to touch this IP in like 30 years. They'll never remake this.
Good.
It's over. No, it's over. No, it's over. That's a. I mean,
I'm with you, Dan. Like, I have totally on the like boat, and I know I've talked to you about this, but we kind of have a pact going that we're not ever going to adapt our stuff for Hollywood, and I think that's really good. But I think it's sad too, because I've like known people that are like, I'm not even going to read these books because it's so awful.
We got to get published first.
We do it ourselves, Dane. We're doing it ourselves now. That's what we all got to do.
The only reason I read the entire Wheel of Time series was because of people like Adam roasting it, not because I enjoyed the show.
And that's the only good thing that's come out of it. And if we're, Wheel of Time was so bad on so many levels that there were a lot of people that are watching, trying to find, channels like this that are speaking like how bad the show is. I've talked to a lot of new readers. This is a very old story, Wheel of Time. A lot of new readers that are picking it up because they're like, I thought this was a classic fantasy novel. What the hell am I watching? And they've read the books, and it's just like, wow, okay.
Sorry, Steve. Alex made this point before he joined, right? He noted that Wheel of Time used to be the #2 fantasy series. Game of Thrones took it over on the back of the success of the show.
Yeah.
And silver lining or no, I think we're all in agreement. If this was a good show, a faithful adaptation of The Eye of the World, that would have been a hell of a lot better than, us being somewhat of a minority voice in the fandom for reasons. But let's leave that aside right now. Us trying to convince people, no, the show sucked. The books are way much better. That doesn't get people in the bookstores as much as, holy shit, this show was amazing. I got to read because I want to know what happens next. I can't wait next year.
Or I want to go read the book and see what parts they left out that
I really feel like with this more than anything, it's like it's really damaged the reputation of the IP. I've just gone on because I didn't know the White Cloaks and all that Reddit stuff. I didn't join them. I'm only White Cloaks adjacent, but when I started looking up stuff about the show and what eventually led me to find the White Cloaks and their group and stuff like that, I came across so many things that were like, yeah, I'm never going to read the books. Like, this is so awful. Like, why would they even want to adapt this, thinking that the adaptation was something that was actually in the books? And that is so depressing. And I would just and I've read those books as an older person, and it was just so uplifting and so refreshing to read something positive. And to see that level of desecration, that's just sad.
Now, okay, so
here's the issue that I take with some of these comparisons. So in the second age of the Lord of the Rings, the first time that the Númenóreans come to Middle Earth, the orcs had destroyed Eregion and were basically pushing the elves off Middle Earth. And the Númenóreans showed up and kicked Sauron's ass. We all remember Aragorn. Aragorn has been blanded out. There's 62 generations of shitty regular human blood in that guy. Elendil is 7'11", and the first time he shows up, they kick Sauron's ass back to Mordor. The second time he showed up, they took Sauron hostage. His army ran away. They were so scared. The Wheel of Time, that got really watered down. But Jesus Christ, nothing on Earth got watered down than the Númenórean army showing up, killing most of the orcs and running them off. That got watered down to 300 people when really it was 40. We're talking the difference between Pelennor Fields and your local LARPing group, except that the local LARPing group has better costumes and armor.
They saved the village that got wiped out by a volcano 5 minutes later. It was awesome.
Yeah. But all right, so we come to a really great point here, and Alex brings up a great point, but I think he also balances out in terms of what I'm going to say here. Lady Balefire's whole point about what it's done to the people not reading books, everything we're saying here comes back to the legacy of it all right now. Lord of the Rings remains intact. People in the chat have been saying this. I've been getting comments like that in videos. Lord of the Rings remains intact because everybody looks at Rings of Power and sees it as nothing but the billion-dollar fan fiction for what it is. Even with what Alex just described, everybody goes, oh, that's Lord of the Rings. That's awesome. That's still fine. That ain't Rings of Power because we know it's fan fiction. The problem with Wheel of Time, to everybody's point, and we made talk about this earlier, no one's going to want to touch this because it's been so bad. Let's take the shilling out of it. Especially the shilling is going to start up all over again with season 2. They're going to ramp it up real soon. We're probably going to get another trailer in a month or so. Take that out. Take the paid for shills in their channels, and take the stands out of it. The normies, the regular people, the people who have tried to do this. Us, we've already got our books. We're not buying anything else. Some of us have a signed copy of Jordan already, or somebody trying to get one. I mean, I got mine's right there. It's right there. We've spent our money already on Wheel of Time. We're not going to spend any more money. There's nobody who they've been courting, the phantom SJW crowd that's supposed to buy everything when you make their perfect woke show. They're not going to spend money on Wheel of Time. Of course, Amazon doesn't get any cut of that, as was pointed out before. But there's no base to build this upon. And then you have the desperate ones, the ones that are filled with the cognitive dissonance, who know it's wrong, but are so desperate to have their show, they're going to forget every little bit of it. They know it's done. They know it's poisoned. It's so over. So I would... Lord of the Rings remains intact as a piece of material that can be adapted.
The gates are still intact on the gatekeeping.
Yeah, Wheel of Time. The land has been shattered. Savaged. The earth has been salted.
This is like the breaking of the world.
Yeah.
No, Adam, I'll say this.
Okay.
I think Wheel of Prime did more damage to the brand than Crossroads of Twilight.
Ooh.
Tony.
Damn, that's a bold take.
Yeah. And I hated Crossroads of Twilight. That's what I hate
by
the most.
far it did more damage. But I mean, Crossroads of Twilight
you can actually skip Crossroads of Twilight. If
yeah,
think about
I was going to say you can just skip it and you're fine, right? I mean,
and again, I've made the argument several times that the biggest problem with that book was waiting years for it and then having to wait years after for.
That's when I stopped. I've told you guys that's when I stopped and I said, "That's it. I'm not reading this anymore until it's done." And I didn't, and then he died.
The friends that I had that
wait, you gotta go.
Yep.
All right, Alex, thanks for showing up. Sorry, I missed that. I'm notoriously bad about checking private chat. Everybody can tell you about that.
All good.
Alex, thanks for being here. We're winding down
Thank
anyway.
you.
So, do you have anything you want to promote outside of White Cloaks?
No, I'm actually I got to jump on another stream in 8 minutes here. I'm going to be talking to a person who enjoyed the Wheel of Time show.
Wow.
So, yes.
I hope we've bolstered you fully going into that with this here.
Yeah. So if anybody wants to come and support me in the chat, it's all going to be friendly. But you know,
I hope it's friendly.
Good conversation.
All right, great, Alex. Thanks for being here. We are winding down anyway, so thanks for stopping by and good luck.
Thanks.
6.
All right. So, but yeah, I think in the end, and this is where this is where I was when we started this. Oh. Look who decided to show up.
Oh, you finally show up.
It's okay. You've been drinking heavily, haven't you?
Way more than I care to admit, but I would have much rather been here talking shit TV with you guys because
I'm
gonna need a new
we
liver.
are happy to have you here.
Oh God. Stop that.
Fuck?
You're gonna break him. Stop it. You're gonna break him. He's on the edge. I can see it. He's on the edge. Don't even have his hat on. That's how on the edge he is. His hat isn't even on.
I'm in the middle of editing my reviews, and I saw you guys were winding down. So
yeah, but it's okay.
Just real fast. It is so bad. Like even without the Doctor Who aspect, it's written like garbage. Like this episode, I think was written as bad as Rings of Power. Like it's that badly written, and then you add in the desecration of Doctor Who.
Yeah,
it's a 1-2.
Wait, did Chin Balls write it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you guys care about spoilers? Because there's one major
No.
spoiler.
Save it. We'll talk about it in post game. We'll talk about post game.
Okay,
We're wrapping up.
I
here.
read what you put in chat.
Yeah, I'm gonna be editing this out for a separate video, so we don't want to derail us too far at the end here.
All right.
I can just do a cut.
I still
around
have
this
to
part.
watch this.
All right, but I think it is safe to say that, and this is where I was when we started. Wheel of Time, way more damage has been done. It's Lord of the Rings, it's going to go on forever. It's the Rings of Power. It's bad fan fiction. To everybody's point, everybody knows it's bad fan fiction. But Wheel of Time, some people, it was their first exposure to it. And to Lady B's evidence, people aren't even going to go near the books now because of that.
I just wanted to point out too that one thing that we kind of don't talk about is that like the Wheel of Time promoter now, Brandon Sanderson, has been actively supporting Ragnar. And I know people kind of disagree with me on this and they're saying he's just really nice, but I found his channel and I appreciate his writing advice videos, but I went through and I can think of at least 2 different occasions when Brandon Sanderson was talking about how much he was working with Rafe Judkins on this series. And it's obvious that he's very thirsty to get into Hollywood, and I can't like complain about that or what he wants to do with that. But he was very supportive of what they were doing with the show, and
he's walked that back several times though. So
has he since then?
he's
like
walked
honestly,
it back.
like
He's come straight out and said, "Hey, I gave them notes, and they did what they did with them." So
I know, I just don't understand why. And this was a relatively like recent thing. Like when I watched it, it was maybe like 2 months old or something, where he was saying how much he supported what they were doing and was going in pretty in depth, like with how much he worked with them allegedly. So I don't know.
Yeah, he's walked that back. He's walked that back and said he barely worked with them at all in the first 3 episodes. He gave notes on, and that's it. And they didn't follow any of his notes.
Most of it, yeah.
Didn't he also come out and say that he liked the show, but it wasn't Wheel of Time?
Yeah, something like that.
He's the origin of it's another turning of the wheel. That
shit. Yeah, that bullshit.
Oh my god.
Which is another way of saying this is fucking AIDS.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know that maybe he said it too, but that was being said from the get on that show. So
I don't know. I was just really disappointed to listen to him.
I had to partition all that off because he's playing games, and I know I've seen a few times he's walked it back and said straight up, this is I like the show, but not what I would have done, not really Wheel of Time, and then he said he was like. He said several times now, I gave them notes. I didn't like what they did with Perrin. I would have done it this way.
I remember that
and
one.
I was only involved in really giving notes on the first 3 episodes, and then I had no idea what was going to happen because they didn't even take my notes.
And Ragnar is on record saying that he listened to Brandon Sanderson more than anybody else on the show.
Right, exactly.
And their lore expert, Masara, who was the one who's supposed to be in the writer's room defending the actual narrative, she's on Twitter basically saying, "Oh, I told them about that," and then they didn't listen to her. She basically had a nothing job. Ragnar boasted about giving her shit to do. Like, I'd send her an email being like, "What happens in the story if we kill off Tom Maryland?"
Yeah.
And then she would go and research and do. And it was like, haha, we're not doing that.
Research? I can tell you 5 seconds. We're going to do research.
Just laughed at everyone and
destroy the
said they're
story.
like a
That's what you
misogynist,
do.
racist bigot. Like,
But they only have her there for window dressing, and that I think is a key thing. I know that I think Corey or somebody else mentioned earlier in the chat, like, yeah. So Rings of Power had Tom Shippey, right, as an actual lore
And they
expert.
fired him.
They fired him.
Yeah, they fired him.
Here's the thing. All right. As bad as firing your lore expert is, what's fucking worse is having a fucking shill, basically, I don't want to say whore for money, as your lore expert. Who's basically
that's what they ended up doing.
Just their
Rings of Power too.
Yeah, they didn't bother finding an actual fan of the series to fire.
Yeah.
Like if they found an actual lore expert who had read the series like 30 times.
When they fire,
I would have got fired. Like,
you know what you're getting though. That when they do that, you know what you're getting, and that's why you could say it's fan fiction, but Wheel of Time, they still, I guess, were pretending, but it's. I think Wheel of Time wins this debate. It's suffered more in the end.
Unfortunately, yes. Like now, when I first saw the show, I was like, wait a minute, this is a best-selling fantasy series. This is a beloved franchise. I could not believe that the source material was this bad, and so that's why I sought it out. Now that I've read the series, it's easily one of my favorite series, fantasy-wise. Like, I like it better than Lord of the Rings. It's way more in-depth. The characters are far more interesting over several volumes. I mean,
all I'm hearing is blasphemy.
But Dermy, have you read The Eye of the World yet?
No, I haven't. I need to now.
So,
do it, Jeremy. Do it for us.
Read the first 7 chapters and let me know what you're thinking.
Okay.
But either way, so I think I'm gonna say my vote. Lord of the Rings survives. Wheel of Time. It's as an IP. It's gonna go down in flames. No one's gonna touch it for another 20, 30 years.
Yep.
Dermy, I'm going around. Dermy.
Personally, Rings of Power was just awful because I am such a huge Tolkien fan. I'm not as big as some other people out there, but I love Tolkien so much. But from what I am hearing, Wheel of Time has been destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
So
because you still got the books and you still got the Peter Jackson stuff.
Yeah, I still have so much that I can go back to, and everything with Wheel of Time, it just sounds like nobody wants to touch it again.
Yeah, Lady B, I know your answer.
Like Wheel of Time, hands down. I mean, I know we didn't really talk about this much on like a film production like standard, but like I've watched both of the series twice through because when I was initially asked for my opinions on this stuff, it was as a filmmaker, and so like it was just pretty egregious on both ways. But like in terms of production value and actual filmmaking basics, like I can't even begin to proffer any kind of explanation about what happened with Wheel of Time. The technical aspects of the show were so bad. I mean, I saw shaky pans, and it's like how is that even acceptable? Like I've done better pans myself, and the costumes were awful. The lighting was atrocious. The sound mixing wasn't that great. The music was awful. The CG was laughable.
I think the CG is just as laughable in Rings of Power. I thought it was atrocious. And the music, I hated the music in Rings of Power.
Yeah,
it was forgettable. It's forgettable.
So bad on both. Yeah.
It's like I was just as a filmmaker, I have absolutely. I can only say that like the way that we were taught about Amazon's like production, what they do with their film studios is that it's kind of like the food court in Costco. The food court in Costco doesn't make money, and the only reason why they operate is because it brings more people into the stores.
And they cut it down during Coof. They expanded it, and then in Coof they shrank it back down to what it originally was.
Yeah, and that's what Amazon has already done. They do not rely on it. It doesn't necessarily need to turn a profit. I would be really surprised if nobody loses their job. I think they probably will, or they should. But if nothing happens, I wouldn't be that surprised either because it's just Amazon. It's just there. It doesn't need to do anything. It's just bring people into Amazon. And that is just really, really depressing as a
And I don't think that even worked. That didn't even work. Everybody who has Prime already had Prime. I'm not going to get Prime.
Yeah.
I canceled my Prime.
Oh, me too.
Yeah, that I've heard that a lot.
Dane. High five.
All right. So Dane, this was like triple strike for you. You'd already canceled it over Wheel of Time, right?
Well, and Adam, you guys know what side I'm coming down on.
Yeah,
and all I'll say is I'm going to be putting together a presentation, hopefully film it with Alex. PowerPoint, me walking through kind of my argument in threes as the great Greeks who understood rhetoric all understood. So I have 3 arguments, 3 sub-arguments for each, and 3 pieces of evidence for each as to why I think that Wheel of Prime was so much worse than Rings of Power.
Mm-hmm. All right. Joxer?
Well, again, I think Rings of Power alienated normies to a greater extent just because it was so boring. But I think in terms of quality, again, if you're a book fan at all, you have to give it to Wheel of Time as a greater desecration of the source material.
Okay. Steve?
I mean, I've said it a million times, and I'm sure you have. We've waited 20-some years for Wheel of Time to be adapted, and this is what we got. You can't count that one that one Winter Dragon thing. That doesn't really count. That was just to keep the IP. But you have fans that have been waiting for something to be done for years and years and years, and now we have this, and it is now tainted, for lack of a better term. I've said it a few times. I'll say it again. I think what it comes down to for a lot of people, which has been done the most dirty, is your personal attachment to those IPs. Obviously, I'm very heavily attached to Wheel of Time, so I feel that it's just been destroyed. And a lot of the points of there's a lot of other Lord of the Rings Tolkien stuff that was done. At least there are people that I know there's people out there that don't like the Peter Jackson trilogy. I don't know how you couldn't, but that's there. And I think the fan base was pretty prepared for Rings of Power to be what exactly.
Yeah, we talked about that before you got here.
Yeah.
I think right before you got here. Yeah.
So I mean, I think they were prepared. I think they've defended it well. Even though the people that were there supposed to defend it, the gatekeepers were on the walls gatekeeping, and that's not what happened with Wheel of Time. Wheel of Time was just destroyed utterly, and instead of people clamoring about how bad it is, we gotta be that voice in the void, almost trying to get through all the nonsense.
Absolutely,
Borderlanders, Steve. We gotta stay at our post.
We touched on that before you came in. How the question Dane asked the question, and I responded. The Lord of the Rings was protected because the fan base was united.
Yep.
And the Wheel of Time fans, they folded instantly, and because they knew this was their shot, and they wanted to protect it no matter what. And cognitive dissonance kicked in, and they attacked me, they attacked you, they attacked everybody who was trying to say, no, we deserve better than this.
Yep.
But go ahead, Fish.
No, you're 100% right. I mean, you could say there's several channels out there that have barely grown. The main Wheel of Time channels out there that have barely grown after this.
Yeah.
And they should have skyrocketed, but it's like we're split right down the middle, I think.
That's a perfect point right there.
Or in denial that it's good, and it's just like I don't know how you say that and be a Wheel of Time fan. I don't get it.
I think in the end, I feel as though the biggest thing of how they're both horrible shows. They're both horrible shows, and in the end, the whole question of today was which has suffered more damage as a brand and going forward. I think they're equally terrible shows, but to Lady B's point earlier, people are not going out to buy Wheel of Time's books. Everybody right now wants to go read Lord of the Rings, read The Hobbit. They are surging to find real Tolkien. Not out of Amazon. They're going to everywhere else sometimes too. They don't want those Rings of Power covers. People are buying more Tolkien now than ever. Or not, maybe not ever, but there's a surge of that, whereas opposed to people aren't buying the Wheel of Time books. And to me, that's a sign of the damage that the brand has suffered. I mean, they're both horrible shows, but the brand of Lord of the Rings is intact. Despite all they've tried to do to destroy Tolkien, to destroy his legacy and memory and everything and all he stood for. They failed because the fan base is united and they love it. They believe it. They defended it.
And you know what? I have to bring it back to what I'm known for is all my hot takes on Game of Thrones, but I'm going to lay the blame of like this kind of stuff really in like Game of Thrones feet, because Game of Thrones, first of all, it's not even finished. And Game of Thrones was the like show that started all of this, and Wheel of Time, that's done at least, but like Wheel of Prime came out and Rings of Power came out. Everyone's like, we got to be the next Game of Thrones. We got to be
your original IP first. If you're original IP first.
And then we get the like hot like House of the Dragon, and it's also a hot mess, and it's fell into the same kind of thing as it can't even stand on its own 2 feet. So
imagine that Hollywood learned the wrong lesson.
Right lesson.
I'm just like, enough with this crap. And
be
I hate
yourself
the Game of Thrones
first.
syndrome.
If you are your original IP first, guess who you're going to have behind you? The original fan base, who are going to be your strongest defenders, your strongest flag bearers, and we will be there to protect it. And we will fight for it. We'll spread the good word. And what happens? They gave us all the middle finger and told us to go away and shut up racist, shut up bigot, shut up toxic nerd.
I still think both franchises wrote off the book from the get-go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they did.
Absolutely.
You're right. You're absolutely right. But in the end,
And
so
George sold out on House of the Dragon.
yeah. But so Lord of the Rings will endure. It'll go forward. The show was horrible, but to Mustang's point right here, we laugh at it.
Yeah.
We're laughing at it. We're not laughing at Wheel of Time. We're sad because we know it's not over.
Yep.
And I mean, yeah, with Rings of Power, I know Reaver, but
And it's straight
2
up
years,
like apathy
maybe 3.
too. Like
I found laughter in tears.
The only thing about season 2 of Wheel of Time is that it's going to arm us against the stands. Like
yeah,
the
because
stands are not gonna have
it's off
anything
the rails. We're into the wilderness. It's not remotely any story, and we're just.
It's all
I mean,
gonna be
think
all
about
over.
this as we close out. Wheel of Time season 2. It can't really hurt us anymore because it's not the story anymore.
Yeah.
We are, to Dane's point earlier. It now is pure fan fiction from this point forward. Matt's story doesn't exist anymore.
It's not just off the rails. The train went off a cliff, and it's just lying in pieces at the bottom.
It's a flaming corpse of a
I
train.
mean, when
running
was
into
Rand?
trees.
When was Rand ever strung up on a wheel?
You missed that chapter? Come on.
That was in Rafe's basement, but that was.
I think that actor's still strapped down in the basement on that wheel.
Yeah,
That's why
it's
I
like
didn't make comment on
tweets
his
of Fear
I think
5.
technically that book was called The 50 Shades of Grey Aja.
Oh, and with that, I'm gonna let Dane get the victory with that one liner. All right, guys. I want to thank my panel for being here, for showing up and joining us for this other half of this. Let's go around the horn. I will update with everybody's links before the day is over to make sure they're there, and we will have a good time with the future ripping this shit apart. So, Dermy, what do you got going on this week, dude?
This week, hopefully, finally getting back to normal after how chaotic last week was for no apparent reason. But videos 2 to 3 every day, live stream Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and hopefully going to be watching Doctor Who here in a bit, and then House of the Dragon, and hopefully hopefully season 9 was just a hiccup. I mean, episode 9 was just a hiccup. And yeah, I'm not looking at Dane or Lady B right now. I'm not.
No, Lady B. I know where you're going tonight. You're gonna watch it, and you're ready to hate on it already, aren't you?
I will say, if it's shit, I'll join Lady B and Dane, because it's not how you start; it's always how you end.
Ladies. All right, Lady B. What's going on this week besides? Well, in addition to Hot D.
Yeah, I got I'm gonna take on the Hot D with Dane sometime this week.
With Dane. Okay. Yeah.
People
Are
wonder
you
why they
ready
ship
for
us.
us? Are we gonna balefire the shit out of this, Dane? Are you ready?
I just got reminded just now that fucking show's airing tonight.
You just remember you have to do that now.
Don't worry, we can watch together. It'll be fun.
I could. Okay, we could play with that so much, but I'm gonna go to Dane. Besides that, what's going on with the White Cloaks, Dane?
So we recorded our part 3 of our rewatch yesterday. Steve was on. That was awesome. We got through 15 minutes of material because we took too long with our ladies the previous week.
You still on episode 7?
Hey, there's nothing wrong.
Dane. It was your idea.
My idea, my
Guys,
fault.
there's nothing wrong with taking your time with the ladies. Yeah. All right, keep going.
Hey, it's for her pleasure. That's right. Who am I kidding? Imagine unironically trying to pleasure a woman.
Give me the meat and give it to me raw.
We did the last the rewatch with Steve and Nathan yesterday. Hopefully it's going to be a great success, and we're on the finale, and there's only 3 more to come after this. So
and then when you're done, Wheel of Time season 2 is going to be here. So what do you know?
Yeah, but not a rewatch. We got to wait for everybody else to do reviews and stuff. I don't think we're going to pick up the rewatch until we've been able to digest the raw meat.
Dude, who knows when that's even coming out? They haven't even announced it, man. It could be another year, half a year.
I'm literally praying every fucking night that it's not going to come out.
Oh, it's coming out.
I want content, damn it. I want content.
It's coming out. Yeah. And so is 3. They've already started writing 3. So.
Yeah.
Oh my god! At least with like Rings of Power, like they're like, what is there going to be like 2 years before the next one comes
2 to
out?
3.
I mean,
Rings of
like
Power, we decided 3 years minimum. I say 3 years
we
minimum.
still don't have a release date for Wheel of Prime, but
Nope.
they'll
That's the only
probably dump
positive
it.
sign. But
Yeah,
I say
that's a good
February
thing.
at this point. I'm thinking February.
Yeah, February is kind of the dumping ground for stuff in the industry. So
Hey, it's going to go up against the Marvels. Anyway, Joxer, what's going on with you this week?
Just follow me at Son of Joxer on Twitter. I've been posting a lot of virtual photography lately with like Skyrim and various Assassin's Creed games. I occasionally post fan art. I post memes of Wheel of Time, amongst other things. So just follow me on Twitter and you'll figure out what I'm up to.
All right, Steve, what's going on over at the Prophet's house?
Hey, man. I'm not really sure. It's one of those. Whenever I hit an overnight shift, everything sort of goes quiet. But I'm done with that, so I'm gonna start.
we missed you, Steve.
Hopefully start. Thanks. Hopefully start. Don't. I'm not gonna say dumping, but the content hopefully should be flowing here. I'm gonna try and start getting into Cosmere stuff on the channel, just because. I'm actually a big fan of Sanderson's Cosmere, Stormlight
Yeah,
Archive.
I'm very curious about that.
So
I signed up for the surprise novels that are supposed to be released next year.
yeah, those, and then I got the miniature Kickstarter was awesome. So I know I have to partition myself with Sanderson and Wheel of Time right now because I really love all of his stuff, and that'll show where he's standing when his stuff actually gets adapted. If he actually holds on to it and makes them do it the correct way.
Well,
so we'll see. That'll be interesting all in itself. So sort of going into that because I know that's going to happen. And Sanders, 2023 will be the year of Sanderson when it comes to fantasy in Hollywood, I think. So hopefully soon that'll be coming.
That's definitely an interesting take because my original theory before he did the Kickstarter thing was that he was playing nice and playing ball so that his stuff would get adapted. But now that he's got his Kickstarter thing, he's kind of set for life. He's kind of okay. He doesn't really need to get adapted.
He could have kickstarted the movies if he wanted to. He could have done. I'm not sure why he just didn't do it himself. But
yeah,
I think the statue. I've said it a few times. I think the statue Kickstarter is important. I hope he does some more stuff for like Mistborn and all that because he now has a visual representation of each of his characters, how they should look.
What is his what is the point of his like Kickstarter? What is he fundraising for?
Himself. It's just him.
He's self-publishing, so he basically makes
that's
100%
why
on his book sales rather than 30.
Yeah, the Kickstarter is just his.
Yeah, he owns his IP, and freaking publishing company and the agents aren't taking shit from him. And he's an inspiration to all of us in that sense that it can be done if your base is big enough or there's a place to start. I mean, that's my dream.
Awesome.
Open my own small publishing house.
Like he wrote 4 novels during the COVID years that weren't planned, and so he's self-publishing those, and he's also publishing a set of miniatures and statues to go with.
Made over 4 mil on the miniatures, which are going to be awesome. And then it's like 70 million on the 4 novels. It was crazy.
Is that what it ended up on? Wow.
I think it was 70 million or something for. I don't know. I don't know. It was some astronomical number. What's that?
The guy's got sights on J.K. Rowling, and that's like I'm pretty sure he was well off before all this, but I think someone made the comment like this is the difference between off money and generational money.
If they do the Cosmere right, man, there's so much content, so much for movies, anime, cartoons, TV shows, all kinds of stuff. So they just got to do it right. So I'm glad that there's now a visual representation of those characters in Stormlight. That's how they're supposed to look. So I think that's important. I think that's something that fell through the wayside with how important the statue Kickstarter is there's artwork out there now. These are what the characters should look like, and when these things are adapted, that's how the characters should be cast or drawn. What they're supposed to look like. So but yeah, so sorry, went off a little tangent there. So hopefully Cosmere stuff on my channel. So
that's interesting.
Thanks, Evan.
Yeah,
thank you.
And Jed, you are a member of the round table, so what's going on? Besides losing your mind right now.
Just losing my mind. I'm not actually drunk. I haven't actually had anything to drink. I should have, but lightweight. Yeah, I needed to focus, write my review, but yeah, my review will be up in probably an hour here, probably less than that, and yeah, I can't think further than that. So that's me.
All right, guys. And as always, I got streams. Tonight we might play some more Medieval Dynasty. Tomorrow we're definitely going to play some more Medieval Dynasty because that's the game of the moment on the channel. But throughout the week, regular stuff, regular videos. Wednesday, Natural 20. I'm not sure what we're going to talk about yet there, but hey, we'll do something. Thursday, Star Wars: The Republic. And next Friday, more videos. And, of course, next Saturday, the premiere of Saturday Night Drive-In, co-hosted by myself, Lady B, and Jed, although Jed's going to be someplace else next week where we're all going to wish murder upon him.
I hope you get an STD.
Oh, dude!
I will not be doing anything with the porn stars. I'll just say that.
Anyway, but Jed's going to be
said
off
it because I'm jealous.
Jed's going to be off at the Geeks and Gamers meetup, which is why he won't be up the next week, but he'll be back the following week, and therefore, and I can say next week we are doing The Crow as our start-off show because it's Halloween. Basically Devil's Night day before, but hey, The Crow. Other than that, then we'll go forward, and guests are going to be coming in and out all the time. We ask you to understand, and of course, we'll be right back here next week on the roundtable to cover whatever happens the coming week because, you know, the internet provides. Thank you to my panel, both the regular roundtable members who were here before and the panel for this. We had a great time tonight. I look forward to trashing all this stuff and pointing out how bad it is because that's what we have to do, shine a light on all this garbage. Either way, thanks for being everybody. Everybody, chat, we love you. We thank you for your support. We like you because you're us. You're just fans like we are. And do not fall. That's a trap right there. That is a trap. That Dermarant is a trap.
And it's all about the friends we
you.
made along the way. Thank you guys. I've met some wonderful people here and a great community. So thank you guys for that.
All right.
I love every last one of you.
Yeah, and to that.